Good evening, my friend, and welcome to the Everything's Bigger Texas 375 for XCal Racing. My name is PDJ Zettler, the voice of XCal Racing, and alongside me always will be Doug Burns. Doug, of course, with How to Suck at iRacing, doing all the cameras and making all the fancy stuff happen. So, obviously, happy to have Doug along with me. And as always, we have Higgins, the XCal superfan. He's been originally he was just kind of here halfway through the race. Lately, he's been joining us for a little pre-race interview. And this week, actually, Higgins, the XCal superfan, is having a very special interview with our current points leader, Jordan Babinger.
What's that?
Higgins, down to you.
Howdy, partner. This here's Higgins, the XCal superfan, getting drunk here in the Texas heat, because everything's bigger in Texas. I'm down here with Jordan Babinger. It's his turn for me to ask him some questions. You ready, Jordan?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, Jordan. What's your favorite TV show?
TV show? I don't have one right now.
Oh, well.
NASCAR, does that count?
NASCAR works. I like NASCAR. It works out because I really don't have a favorite TV show either. I got rid of my TV, so I sold it so I could buy a Honda Big Red 3-wheeler.
Right on.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I do cool wheelies and stuff. I have fun. Now, how many times have you been to Denny's?
Denny's? I think twice.
Been there twice?
Yep.
You gotta get up. You gotta catch up to me here, man. I've been 68 times, and every time they recommend that I get the creamy Thousand Island sauce, and every time it's fucking horrible. So next time you go, do not get the creamy Thousand Island sauce.
All right. Noted.
Okay. You gotta make the right choices there. Now, earlier today, I was filling up the cooler, and I looked up and I saw a falcon flying around the sky, and I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to know if you know where I can purchase a falcon.
Probably Walmart has them, don't they?
Does Walmart have? No, I was gonna see if like you had a guy with a number, but I mean I don't know.
Oh shit, no.
If it's just down at Walmart, I mean that's
man.
That's really convenient. Is it like by the hunting stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Probably back in the hunting fishing area there.
I
haven't been in there in a while either.
I don't know why. I thought the candle. I'd get distracted. Anyway, how many beers do you think you can finish in 15 minutes?
15 minutes, probably like 2.
2?
Yeah. 2.
Now again, much like with the Denny's trips.
Yep, not a beer drinker.
Not a beer drinker.
No, it's all where the whiskey. It's about the whiskey.
Okay. So how much? How many drinks of whiskey can you get down?
Oh, I'm good with 6.
6. Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay. Now, like I was saying, much like the Denny's trip, you're gonna have to get these numbers up here a little bit. I can get down at least 45 drinks, be it shots of whiskey or like cans of beer. But there does need to be a paramedic on standby with a stomach pump when I do that. Otherwise, it gets really risky. So I just have a guy.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And my final question here: how much would you say that you'd pay for a 1985 Honda Big Red 3-wheeler in fair condition?
In fair condition? Oh, $800.
Oh, that's perfect. That's what I'm going to throw it on Craigslist for. I need some money. But enough about my need for incessant beer money. I'm ready to watch some racing.
Hell yeah. Yep.
All right.
Ready to roll off here.
Doug.
All right, thank you, Higgins, the XCal superfan. That was Higgins with our current points leader, Jordan Babinger, asking him some important questions. The cars are now rolling off the pace line. Here we go. Here is the top 10 starting order for the Everything's Bigger in Texas 375. On pole position this evening, we have the number 12 of Kenny Tripp on his outside, and the number 52 will be Marty Zakala. In third, in the number 13, making his XCal debut, will be Josh Oliver, and in fourth, in the number 04, will be the weapon Tyler Jalbert. In fifth, in the 062, will be Johnny B. In sixth, in the number 48, will be points leader Jordan Babinger. In seventh, will be the 454 of Luke Turpin. In eighth, the number 17 of Aiden McConaughey. Ninth, the 06 of Logan Jones. And in 10th, the 1 of Trevor Birchmere. Quickly, Doug, before we go green here, 7 races, we've had 7 different winners. Do you think tonight we see winner number 8?
Oh, I definitely think we do. With all the updates today, with this legacy track, it's going to be one heck of a show. There's no telling what's going to happen here tonight. I don't see it's going to take a miracle for one of those guys to repeat here tonight.
All right, well, here the field comes through turns 3 and 4. Kenny, the helmet trip, holds the inside line. On his outside, it's going to be Marty Zakala. They come off turn 4. First race for these new cars, the new damage model. This is going to be interesting. Let's see how it goes. Here comes Tripp. He brings the field down to the green flag. Green flag in the air. We're down and away. Nice jump there for Kenny Tripp on the inside. He does hold the lead. The battle for second is on now as the number 13 of Josh Oliver races to the inside of Zakala. Got to be watching out here early, though, Doug. This new damage model, it could cause a lot of issues. We're hearing that random damage just happens and these cars become a complete mess. A lot of variables in tonight's race that really are kind of out of these drivers' hands.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen where just the least little bit of damage will send a wheel loose going wherever it wants to go. They will lose a wheel, and we'll end up having to sing, "You picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel." But meantime, yeah, there's some changes in the drafting effects too. We've seen that quite a bit since the updates this morning, and got to tell you, draft passing is very difficult, and even for these cars, this is a draft heavy track, and it's also an abrasive track, and they made changes to the tire model, so it'll be really interesting to see. And I know a lot of these guys had to make last minute setup changes to get their cars where they want to be, so tonight is definitely going to be a roller coaster.
Well, right now, the top two have pulled away a little bit. Then the battle's on for third, although Marty on the outside. Zakala does clear Johnny B, so Zakala up to third. Brancaccio will now race for third with the 0-4 of Tyler Jalbert. Jalbert kind of alone on the outside. About 4 car lengths back is the one of Trevor Birchmere, but not really close enough to make a difference. Here it looks like the 48, the points leader, Babinger, he's thinking about jumping to the outside right now. He will jump to the outside, and just like that, we're going to have the 0-4 of Tyler Jalbert try to pull a crossover on Johnny B. Jalbert with an aggressive move there to get the nose underneath the 0-6-2, but Jalbert will get underneath them. Now Jalbert races to the inside of the 0-6-2 machine, and I'm not going to lie, Doug, on lap number 3, that was a pretty aggressive move to get that nose in there.
Yeah, that was a bit a bit extreme, but I got to say, from watching a couple of the heat races this week, there was a lot more aggressive driving, and it's obvious with the updates, these guys are taking it a little bit easier than they did the previous days. At least in the early going here, we'll see how things play out. But it could get to be a little bit dicey if they start pushing this early with so many unknown factors. And it looks like we're not seeing a lot of changes. Actually, Aiden McConaughey has jumped up 3 spots. He is now up to 5th.
Apologize there, my mic muted accidentally, but we do have a change for the lead. Josh Oliver just took the lead away from Kenny Tripp with a nice move to the inside. Johnny B has dropped back on the outside to about 10th after running in 3rd. But Oliver, this is actually Oliver's XCal debut. I guess he watched a couple of the streams, was really getting into XCal, wanted a chance to race. So Darren Snyder, owner of Asphalt Motorsports, put him in the number 13 car this week for him, and he ended up winning his heat race, so he started 3rd in this race, and now he's leading laps in his first ever XCal race, which not a lot of guys do, Doug. This isn't an easy place to get up front and lead, but Oliver having an impressive debut, albeit 5 laps into a very long race.
Yeah, that is interesting to see him up there. Now the question will be, being new, he's watched, he knows a little bit about it. This track, I imagine we're going to see a lot more green flag laps, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as well, and if he ends up burning up his stuff, or if he's being a little bit conservative up there at the front right now.
Yeah, also new this week, we have 2 new drivers, Oliver, who's leading, and right now in 33rd in the D4 Motorsports 84 is Joe R. Campbell. Campbell running 34th right now, still on the lead lap. So those are our 2 new drivers this week, as everyone's pretty much single file up front. The first side-by-side battle looks like it's between Steven Rex and I believe that is Jeremy Leto, or Blake Wynn, excuse me, for 13th and 14th. Those 2 do battle right now. In front of them, though, everything pretty much single file. Kenny Tripp in 3rd, thinking about maybe jumping up to the outside, but nothing really there yet. But one thing here, Doug, though, that new damage model, and during the pre-race drivers meeting, obviously I'm the vice president of XCal Racing, so I have to talk to these guys pre-race, as does the president, Aaron Hillbush. And when we talked to these guys, we really told them that tonight you got to be walking on eggshells. With this new damage model, with all the bad reports that we've had, we can't afford to go out there and race too aggressive early. And I think those guys really took that to heart, although we do have a change for the lead. Zakala got underneath Oliver. Oliver, I think, got a little too relaxed there, left a hole open for Zakala. So now Zakala takes the lead, as now the 13's kind of hung out to dry on the outside with no help.
Yeah, it looks like he's going backwards. He's back to about third right now. He might get slotted into third. He may be stuck up on the high side. And that's the other thing. You can be really good in one turn here, but both ends of the track, different banking, a lot of different features at each end of the track, different banking, different radius. So that's going to come into play quite a bit tonight as well.
All right, so right now on the outside, Oliver doing a nice job racing alone, but really he's going to have a hard time making any ground without some help. He's racing for third with the 04 of Jalbert. Jalbert does get to the inside of the number 13 machine. It looks like the 48 of Jordan Babinger's thinking about maybe going up to the high side and helping the 13. The 13 gets a nice run through 3 and 4. Using that side draft, that car gets a little loose. It buckles on the exit. Doesn't matter. The 13 still racing for second now with Kenny Tripp. He gets a good run down the front stretch. The 13 car, he has a little something going there on the outside right now. Oliver, I gotta say, I'm impressed with how much talent he's showing us, Doug. One thing here, though, is this is a 250-lap race. There is a long way to go. You can show us you're talented, and I know you weren't here for the season opener, Doug. We had the season opener at Charlotte. Chase Johnson, Blake Wynn, that was both of their first XCal race. Kind of like Oliver, we saw them up front racing side by side for the lead for pretty much the first 60% of the race. But then one time when they were both racing for the lead, they just got racing a little bit too hard, washed up into each other, and they both ended up wrecking and didn't finish that race. I think that's a thing here that Oliver's going to have to learn. He's clearly showing us he's talented, but this is a 250-lap race. If you race side by side for so long, you're just putting yourself at risk. That's why you see a lot of these veteran guys like Luke Turpin just riding single file right now.
Yeah, and speaking of talented and Blake Wynn at the same time, he is really coming to the front in that 81 car. He is currently running 9th. He's up 17 spots from where he started. So he's definitely going to be one to watch. And you definitely mentioned it. We talked about it earlier, but the damage model being what it is, they have no fast repairs. So if they get hurt, they're done. And losing a wheel is pretty well done. So we'll see how this plays out here tonight. But definitely, if you're a new guy, you want to get up front and show your stuff. But you also need to save a little something for later in the race. And it looks like John Oliver's starting to come back on the outside as well.
He is, and here we go. Wynn is making the pass for 7th position on the outside of Luke Turpin. Oliver racing nice on the outside for the lead, but it is Blake Wynn that's the story of the race right now. And you know, he showed us a lot of talent at Charlotte earlier this year. Like I said, he was up front dominating quite a bit of that race before he got in that accident late in the going. And today, again, he's run up from 26th now up to 7th, and he's continuing to go the right direction. He might take this thing all the way to the lead here. But that 81 of Wynn, from what I've seen from Charlotte, now what I'm seeing here again today, you can't deny it. He's definitely one of XCal's best restrictor plate racers, and he is making some power moves here as now he moves up to 6th position.
Yeah, he is definitely charging to the front. And you mentioned the side draft earlier. One of the things that we've heard with this update, the draft isn't as effective as it usually is, but additionally, the side draft is slowing some guys down, so we might see him try the side draft a couple of times. May see some guys trying to avoid using that side draft. Saw a lot of notes from different races throughout the last couple hours that said that, hey, the side draft, you get close to somebody's side and it's almost like you lose 5 horsepower. You just start going back again. So it looks like Blake Wynn most of the time has been at least a lane up from the inside. That might be setup wise, and he got a little wiggle into 3, but that might be setup, and that might be just trying to avoid that side draft.
Well, one thing you got to remember, too, the restrictor plate race, they're all on a fixed setup here, so they all do have the same setup as one another. As now Wynn makes the pass on the high side for 3rd. Wynn is right up to the bumper of Oliver. He might have to push Oliver to the lead before he can take it himself. Wynn now races on the high side. He's looking to maybe take it 3 wide. He peeked the nose up there. I don't think he's actually going to do it, though. He stays to continue to be tucked behind that number 13 of Oliver. Oliver on the high side now trying to make the move on Zakala. Zakala doing a good job keeping that car pinned to the inside. Zakala did a good job winning heat race number 3 yesterday. Really performed masterfully in that one to pull off the victory. as he is leading laps right now. This time by, it's going to be awfully close to the stripe. I don't know who led that time by the stripe. That was Oliver by 3/1000ths of a second, so about as close as it can possibly be. And right now, Oliver finally got some help with the 81 of Blake Wynn being able to make his way up to the bumper. And now it looks like a couple other guys are starting to get that itch, and we're starting to see a few more guys jump up to the south side. I think we're about to have 2 lanes for.
Yeah, it looks like Stephen Rex has jumped to the outside. He is making his way forward now. You've got Benjamin Eaton now up to 8th place on that high line as well. And he is coming charging to the front. Going to take a look at his lap times, but yeah, he's been just flying to the front. He's made up almost as much. He's made up 12 spots, so up to 8th right now, and continues to run a pretty consistent pace there. Actually, his last few laps, he's gotten a 1/10 of a second faster. 14th, 15th, and 16th laps, he was a 1/10 of a second faster every time. So it's looks like that high line might be the way to go, at least in the early run.
Yeah, right now, these guys really able to perform up there as we see the number 13 of Josh Oliver continuing to run that outside as they get a little loose off the corner there, but everyone keeps it going straight. Here they come, another lap in the books. That time by, it was Zakala with the lead at the stripe. Here's a couple more names to watch out for, Doug. Noah Carpenter started 38th. He's up to 12. Richard Holiday started 42nd. He's now making the pass right now for 16th and 15th. The 03 car flying through the field. And I feel like we say this every week about Holiday. He always starts in the back and he always ends up in the front. But those are 2 cars that, much like Wynn, are quite on the move right now, Doug.
Yeah, it looked like somebody was stopped on the inside wall there. I believe that was John Friley that stopped on the inside wall of the back straightaway. But yeah, we've got quite a few cars moving up very, very quickly. And Josh Oliver, you know, he's up front. He led another lap here. But he's about to have his hands very, very full with a bunch of these guys coming from the back. And the way they're charging to the back, I mean, they're going to use up some of that tire. But, you know, they're going to have some sort of an advantage here if they've figured out how to make up 20-some-odd spots and get up all the way back up to the front.
Actually, get a load of this, Doug. On the outside lane, there's 3 cars. Well, the 03 just dropped back down to the inside. But there are 3 cars. I think the 03 is probably going to jump back out there. The 424, the 15, and the 03, they started 38th, 41st, and 42nd. And right now, they're on the outside trying to make their way to the front of this field. A valiant effort by that group of 3 drivers that have somehow made their way through all this traffic so quickly. Up front, though, the battle for the lead continues to rage. It's Oliver on the outside as a collar right now, trying to make just any sort of clearance he can get on the 52. He's hoping to maybe clear Marty and be able to pull down to the inside lane. It's just not happening right now, though. Inside lane gets checked up big time. Logan Jones goes spinning. The 06 of Jones goes around. Let's see what happens. He saves it. What a save by Jones. That could have been a big wreck.
Yeah, that was just one heck of a save by Jones. We'll see if he can make his way back to the front, but epic save on his part. I mean, they come through there, and they were at full chat, and it looked like the car behind him just got into the back bumper just barely, but it was enough to lift those back tires up off the wheel or up off the ground, and that sent him around.
Is these guys, that kind of broke up the lead pack, but things quickly are getting reformed here as everyone gets back. And we are 3 wide for the top spot. Here we go. The helmet got underneath Zakala. The helmet makes the path. Zakala, he completely checks up the field there by cutting off the nose. I believe that was Stephen Rex. Yeah, Zakala came down right in front of Stephen Rex, and now the Trip is in the lead as they just went 3 wide for the lead for a moment. Oh my goodness. Oliver continues to be the car on the high side, and that was a daring move. You know, we talked about how these guys were playing nice and taking it easy. For some reason on lap number 22 of 250, the intensity up front is really starting to pick up.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that these guys are pushing this hard so early on. I mean, they're not even 10% of the way through the race. They're going like it's last lap here, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how as the 12 gets, he's got the 52 right on his bumper. Looked like he might have tapped him just a little bit there.
And here we go, Doug. Those 3 cars from the rear of the field, they're in the battle for the lead now. The 424, the 15, and the 03. After starting 38th, 41st, and 42nd, they are now the cars on the high side. Here we go. Tripp's dropping off. Tripp, after that 3 wide moment, I think he's had enough. That gives Oliver the lead. Oliver pulls down to the inside. Wynn will now be the first car on the outside. Tripp's going to rejoin behind this pack. And I think that was just a case of Kenny Tripp was like, you know what? This is too much right now. I want to be here at the end.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Either that or he's got some sort of major problem back there. it looked like he had little difficulty getting back up on the track. He found a hole and was able to get back up there, but he even continued to slip back a few more spots. So we'll have to see if that's a problem, if he decided to save it, or if it was just getting way too crazy up there, as he's now slipped back 15 spots. He's now back to 16.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just dropping back right now. I think it's intentionally. His Win on the high side almost takes the lead away from Oliver. Here we go. It's going to be close to the stripe. Win trying to lead his first lap of the race. Win on the high side in the 81, and Win's going to have it at the start-finish line. Blake Wynn leads that lap, and he might be clear of Oliver. He's pretty close, as Ben Eaton's going to be the first car on the high side now behind him. He wasn't quite clear was Wynn, but he was awfully close to clearing Oliver into one that time. So they continue to race side by side for the lead. Now help from the 2 car of Ben Eaton, as it looks like the 04 of Tyler Jalbert's going to drop off now. He's pulling to the back of the field, and that's actually Kenny Tripp's teammate. So I'm really starting to think this is by design. It's that team just decided, you know what, it's too intense up here, let's get out of the way, as it is getting really intense up here, and Ben Eaton gets really close to the door of Marty Zakala. It's starting to pick up very much so at the front of the field.
Yeah, I am really surprised by the intensity and the way these guys are racing. You'd think this was the last lap and they were going for it. You got Ben Eaton up here just trying to, he keeps looking like he's going to make it go straight up the middle and go 3 wide here. Hasn't done it yet, but these 2 distinct rows, I spoke too soon. He's going to make it 3 wide into turn 3.
Yeah, and Blake Wynn wisely is just like, you know what, take it. Blake Wynn gets right out of the way there, and yeah, Blake Wynn is just going to fall behind all of that and let that happen. So now Ben Eaton's the first car on the high side. He's followed by Kendrick Cryer, and cautiously waiting behind is Richard Holiday, a few car lengths back. Here we go, the 2 cars going for the top spot. Eaton gets to the high side now of Oliver. Oliver is going to continue to hold the low side, and Oliver will hold the lead for the moment, although the 2 car gets a big run down the backstretch. Here comes Kendrick Cryer. Cryer's going to peek to the middle. Cryer thinks better of it. He's going to keep the car tucked in line behind Eaton. Eaton now is on the high side, just trying to find anywhere to go around that Oliver number 13. I just don't. Well, actually, this is going to be a really good runoff of 4. Eaton might clear Oliver this time by. They come down to the start-finish line, and Eaton does have the lead. Eaton's clear if he wants to come down. Eaton will come down. He thinks second, and he will come down. And now Eaton has taken the lead. Now Kendrick Cryer, who started 41st, will be the first car on the outside.
And, you know, we will start to see the problems. If these guys are having problems handling with the tire model, anything else, we'll start seeing that in turn 1. It has the lesser banking. It's got 20 degrees versus 24 degrees in 3 and 4. That's where we'll start to see some problems here before long with some of these guys, if they are not just on rails, if they haven't saved anything. And as time goes on, I would expect to see the majority of problems happen right through there, and especially the way these guys are racing. And it looked like the 2 car was drifting up. He was thinking about going back to the high side to block the 03.
Yeah, and here comes Holiday now on the outside. Holiday started 42nd out of 43 cars. He's the only car on the outside. He is trying to take this lead away from Ben Eaton. They go down and it turns 3 and 4. They are side by side. Can the 03 of Holiday get him? I think Holiday's probably going to lead this lap. Holiday gets moved up a little bit. I think he saw the 2 got a little loose there and he gave him some room to be respectful. Holiday does get a good run. It's going to be Eaton leading at the start-finish line, but Holiday on the high side with no assistance right now, trying to take the top spot away from Eaton. And just to show you how much the field has changed, Eaton has started 20th, and Holiday started 42nd as Eaton gets really tight there on the bottom, almost comes up into Holiday. Holiday keeps it up high enough to get out of the way of Eaton right now. And that 2 car just kind of moving quite I wouldn't say is all over the racetrack, but it's just it's having a hard time, it seems to be having a hard time staying pinned right to the bottom.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, we saw that first problem in turns 1 and 2. If he pushed really hard to get to the front, both of these guys did. Richard Holiday, took a little bit longer getting up there. He might have saved a little something for later in the run, but yeah, the 2 car is definitely starting to show it, and the 13 car right there to the back bumper. Every time, if that 2 car makes another mistake in turns 1 and 2, that 13 is going to be right underneath him and running for the lead. And I do believe the 13 probably has something for the 03 right now.
No doubt. These guys are all racing very tight. The lead pack, by the way, is kind of compressed down to about 7 or 8 cars. I think some of these guys just kind of got sick of I think quite a few guys realize, you know what, this is silly right now, and we've had about 4 or 5 packs form as a result of it. So there's just all these different little packs that have formed behind the lead pack. Up front, though, we do have battles for the lead. It's Richard Holiday on the high side, now with help from his affiliated teammate Marty Zakala in the 52 car. They get a big run down the backstretch. Holiday is going to clear Eaton, I think. He is not quite clear. He was just about, but he couldn't quite clear the two right front. So they go through 3 and 4 now. And once again, Zakala gets a big run. Let's see if he's able to help out the 03 off the corner. They do get a big run down the front straightaway to the start-finish line. It's going to be Eaton leading at that time by at the stripe, but Holiday and Zakala on the high side really making it interesting here for the top spot. And I think what Holiday needs is just he wants to be able to pin that 2 car down to get the side draft and the run off the corner. But with the 2 car keeps coming up the track, it's really hurting any chance the 03 has of doing that. Except here we go, the 03 with a big run down the backstretch. Zakala is going to get into the bumper of the 03, and they just keep getting so close to clearing Eaton, but they can't quite clear him.
Yeah, and it looks like the 52 has to move out. He had one heck of a run coming through 3 and 4. He had to actually move out to not run over the 03 and still maintain his speed. But I think that the 2 cars, that inside line might fall back a little bit here in a few laps. The way the 2 car keeps drifting up mid-corner, there he goes again. He drifts up again, and he manages to pull it back down, but that's really starting to show that he is pushed way too hard too early. And Richard Holiday, as you mentioned earlier, he is the one that always comes to the front, and we're always talking about him. By the middle of the race, he's up there in contention for the win. So we'll see. He might be one of the strongest cars out there. You know, we've got all these guys to the back, and lap traffic's about to become an issue as well. So there's a lot of question marks, and the last few weeks it's been all the little tracks, and now here we are on a mile and a half. This could get very, very interesting. Could shake up the points a lot as well.
I'll tell you what, as the car owner of the 03, Richard Holiday, I don't like this right now. I kind of wish that he was just riding back with Luke Turpin rather than racing for the lead, but I know how it is for him. He likes to get up there and race, and he's leading laps right now, getting those bonus points. He did miss that race at Bristol. I think after his second place finish last week at Southern National, Holiday, I think, is either up to 9th or 8th in points once again. But Richard Holiday trying to get some bonus points by leading laps right now, and he is leading them right now, as the high side has had the advantage of the stripe the last few times by. Eaton continues to hold that low side. Holiday just can't quite clear him. For Holiday, though, I think he's comfortable running that high line, knowing he has a friend behind him in Zakala. And it does make all the difference in the world whenever you're in the outside lane and you know that car behind you. It's a little bit different when it's someone that you don't know or maybe you aren't a friend with. You might be nervous they might take it 3 wide or try to make a move on you. When it's someone you're talking to and a teammate of yours, you have that benefit of knowing they're not going to try to make any moves on you.
Yeah, and that is a huge help, having somebody to talk to and to work with. These bigger tracks, especially in these cars that aren't high powered like a Cup car, they're doing slower laps, but having somebody to work with all the way around the track makes a huge difference here. I mean, even at the speeds they're running, that little bit of drafting help makes all the difference in the world. I expect we see a lot of single file all the way back through the field, but I expect after that first full run, that first pit stop, I think that outside line is going to come back, and I think some of these guys running down low are going to be coming back as the leaders have to come up on some lap traffic now.
Yep, they are coming up right now on 41st place, Paul Coleman Jr. Paul Coleman Jr. looks like he's going to go up the racetrack, and he's going to get out of the way. He's going to get out of the way, and they're all going to be able to go underneath him. Let's see if this can happen cleanly. Coleman does grab the wall a little bit. Can Coleman get off of it? He does, and it does look like that'll be averted there. As now the 2 car pulls off. The 2 car is going to pull off on the backstretch. Now Zakala and Holiday both pull down. Holiday's going to take over the lead on the inside lane, and there's no one on the outside lane to really help. Coleman gets loose in the corner. He hangs on to the race car. Coleman just trying to get out of the way right now as he gets loose a little bit again right there. Hectic moment as these guys are going around these lap cars. The 2 of Eaton's way off the pace in the front stretch right now. And oh my goodness, this is very tight, very hectic action. Looks like everyone will get around Eaton safely, and it does look like everyone's going to get around Coleman safely. So a hectic moment there. Everything will calm down a little bit as now we're all single file at the front of the field. Richard Holiday leads.
And just a quick update, I just noticed John Friley is on pit road. He's been there for a while. He might be out for the night. Josh Rogers just came to pit road just a moment ago as well. So definitely starting to see a few things happening here on track. I don't know if those are related to damage or not. It looks like Josh Rogers jumped into the pits, but I'm not seeing any kind of notification that he got hit. So I don't think he had any damage or anything. This might be a pit strategy thing. We're 40 laps in, and they're trying to see how long they can go on tires and fuel. But and it looks like the top three are actually now starting to get a little bit away.
Actually, the reports are that Rogers had a connection issue and ended up losing 4 laps because of it, and Friley has been plagued with connection issues. So we had 43 cars take the green flag, and minus the 2 guys with connection issues, and Paul Coleman Jr., who's been lapped, still 40 of them are on the lead lap, and Paul Coleman Jr., if a caution were to fly, he would get his lap back and be back on the lead lap. So 41 cars within contention. I mean, even Rogers 5 laps down, that car has no damage. I've seen crazier things happen. But right now, up front, it is single file action. Is pretty much the entire field all the way through is single file. Holiday continues to show the way around. The first car that's kind of looking racy right now is third place, that 13 of Josh Oliver. Oliver's looking like he might want to make a move. Problem is, if he jumps up to the high side, he's not going to have much help because he knows XCal is going to stick with Holiday. They're buddies. They're definitely going to be happy to get out there and ride right now. Oliver would have to hope that maybe Carpenter would jump up with him. But to be honest with you, if I'm Noah Carpenter right now, after starting 38th and driving all the way up to 4th already, I'm probably comfortable just riding on the inside.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would be too. You're just sitting up there. You're in a very good spot right now. You can sit back there, draft, save a little bit. You don't have to push, and you don't have to lead, and that's going to help you on your fuel mileage just a little bit. And that could be the difference between a win and a loss here at the end of the race. There's been races won at Texas on fuel mileage more than once, especially in iRacing. So this is definitely going to be an interesting strategy. The 13 moves to the outside. He's going to go for it now. And that's going to move Noah Carpenter up a spot on the inside line.
Yeah, so here we go. Oliver decides he's going to try to contend for it. Let's see what Oliver can do. He's going to draw even with Holiday down the back stretch. Oliver actually kind of had the nose ahead there a little bit heading into 3. They race side by side. Oliver with no help trying to pull the fast one here on Richard Holiday. And I'll tell you what, this is a safe guy to race with. With Eaton, you could tell that car was kind of moving around. It didn't feel very stable. From what I've seen tonight, there's both the 03 and the 13. Both these guys hold a very smooth wheel. These cars don't move around a lot in the corner. These guys can really pinch each other in side draft and have that assurance that those cars are probably going to hold their line.
Yeah, and along those lines, we saw the 28. Stephen Rex charged from the back as well. He was one of those that started. He's up about 10 spots right now. He had a little trouble going through 3 and 4 last time. Looked like he had a little bit of wobble, saved it. And the car right behind him, Aiden McConaughey, he managed to stay out of trouble there. But yeah, there's a lot of cars starting to show signs of wear and tear. And you got to think, a guy like Noah Carpenter, he's worked his way all the way up here, like you mentioned. And he's playing it very safe, and he's in the right spot right now. Several other cars, you've got Kendrick Cryer back in 8th place right now. Kendrick started at 41st and is up to 8th. So that's going to be one to watch as the night goes on as well.
Well, my friend, we are here on lap number 45 of 250 in the Don't Mess with Texas 375. This has been an entertaining one so far. Knock on wood, no cautions up to this point in the race. We have been mean, clean, and green as these guys appear to be respecting the new tire model and such. Right now, Richard Holiday is up front leading, as he has been for about the last 6 laps or so. Oliver trying to contend on the high side. Josh Oliver making his XCal debut in that number 13 car for Asphalt Motorsports. And actually, something that's worth noting here, the 424 is the teammate to the 13. I forgot about that entirely. That 424 is also an Asphalt Motorsports car, the team owned by Darren Snyder. So the 424 and the 13, don't be surprised you see those guys work together at some point.
Yeah, the 424 seems to have run the outside line. I saw him on the outside coming to the front. Now he's content to sit back down there on the inside. As long as he's with that lead pack, there's really no reason to push. But we get later in the race, those two still at the front. I'd see them getting connected, and both of them are extraordinarily fast here tonight. So either one of them could take the win here. It's, at this point, it's anybody's ball game. None of the lap times are really that far off. So it's going to be a very intriguing race before this thing plays out. Chase Johnson now on pit road in from 36th spot.
Yeah, I think that's a scheduled pit stop. He's just short pitting a little bit. Up front, the battle for the lead's on. It was a tie that it was 0-0-0 at the start finish line. New car in contention running third right now on the outside lane, the 96 of Charlie Buell for K2 Motorsports. Charlie actually signed with K2 Motorsports just last week. He's going to run that 96 car in a lot of the remaining races for the 2021 XCal season. So we'll be excited to see what Beals can do as he's running up front right now, getting K2 some good camera time. They continue to race for the lead, though. We have about 3 cars in the outside lane. Oliver Beals and now the 15 car of Kendrick Cryer also up there. That time by, Richard Holiday led by 2 1,000ths of a second as these guys are still running just so close to each other right now. Chase Johnson, by the way, when he came down to the pits, he lost 3 laps. He's still in the pits right now. That car is sitting there longer than I thought it would. The 51 machine must be having some sort of an issue, Doug. Tough break for the kid who won USA.
Yeah, that is a bit of a tough break, and you know, it's got to be some more of that damage we've been talking about. You mentioned earlier in the race that if you hit that inside apron, it could bend the wheel. A lot of problems with the new damage model so far since it came out today. And I think some of these guys that have been on pit road a while, we had a couple with connection issues. That was a known issue coming into tonight. And now we're seeing some damage come out. And it's not taking a whole lot to break a car. We saw in the practice earlier, before the race, that if somebody hit the wall even just a little bit, they could lose that wheel. Hopefully they don't. I would hate to have to sing the loose wheel song, but, you know, this damage model has a lot of question marks right now.
It certainly does. And actually, I'm tuning into the helmet of Chase Johnson while he sits on pit road right now, and I'm seeing if we can catch a radio frequency. Chase, it's PD up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy there? Oh, let me try again. Chase Johnson, it's PD in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? I don't think we got a connection to his helmet. There's something up there. We were not getting a reading from him, so we're gonna maybe try to catch up with him later. Just want to see what happened to that number 51 machine. Up front, though, the battle for the lead is continuing to rage. Holiday on the inside, trying to fend off Josh Oliver. It has been fractions of a second at the start-finish line the last few times by the 03 and 13 racing so close right now. The outside lane is starting to light up a little bit as the 15 of Kendrick Cryer looks like he's going to drop back and just pull inside. So now 2 cars run on the outside. It's just going to be Oliver and Beals. Beals, though, not afraid to push that 13 car right now. The 96 shoves the 13 off into the corner, and it's going to be Josh Oliver with the nose ahead as they go through 3 and 4. The 96 bumps him in the corner. That gets them both loose. They're both going to kind of get out of the groove a little bit there now, and I think Beals might be getting a little bit too excited too early there. Don't want to be bumping in the middle of the corner at this stage in the race.
Yeah, that is a bit crazy. These cars are very planted on these bigger tracks, but man, that bumping the car this early is a little bit dangerous, and especially when you know as the run goes on, they're going to get a little bit more unstable, and yeah, that little bit of bump could turn into a big incident, especially right here at the front. That's a bit risky, but they are getting eager to get up there, lead some laps. Get a few points, so we'll see how things play out. I think we're starting to see a few green flag pit stops. I stand corrected. I thought I saw a car going to pit road. I was wrong. But we do have a few other guys that are starting to make a comeback towards the front. Octavio Rondoletto, he's picked up 12 spots since the start. Bruce Helmuth has picked up 12 spots. Raphael picked up 18 spots since the start. So some of these guys, the last few laps have really started to come on strong. They were definitely planning for the long run here tonight.
Yeah, and Rafael Sempruch, he is most certainly a restrictor plate racer. He always shows up in these restrictor plate races, and he always runs very well. So expect to see him near the front of the field before this one's over. Rafael, this is actually like 3 or 4 in the morning for him. He lives over in Germany. So we're really glad to have you in the field tonight, Rafael. Hope you're having a good time. I know you love these big plate races. But actually, one thing I do want to tell you, my friend, is about our new sponsorship with Buck Kicker. XCal Racing recently sponsored or partnered with Buck Kicker, I should say, and now we're working with them, and we can actually save you money on Buck Kickers. So if you go to thebuckkicker.com and you put in code XCal21, or actually, I'm going to confirm that code for you in a second. But you can put the code in, you can save 20% on any purchase with Buck Kicker, and I'm going to go get that exact code for you right now, Doug.
Okay, you're a step ahead of me. I was just going to look myself. Yeah, right now as you said, Raphael's moving towards the front. Another car that's coming to the front is Tyler Batchelder. He's up 8 spots since the start in the number 53 car. Brandon Varney. We've talked about him a lot on these short track races recently, but here he is. He's up to 13th right now, and Colin Hefner up to 12th, up 24 spots since the start. So he's another one that's on a mission right now to get up here to the front. And he'll definitely be another one to watch as we're starting to see several of these guys that are making their way forward very, very quickly tonight.
All right, so it's XCal 20. You can go to thebuttkicker.com and use code XCal 20. And you will save 20% off on any purchase on thebuttkicker.com. You can also check out the Cooler Crew. Thank you to them for their great sponsorship. SimRacer Coin, we always appreciate them doing what they do for XCal Racing. And of course, K2 Sauces, like race leader Richard Holliday's Hood shows right now. K2 Sauces, some of the best sauces you can get as Holiday continues to lead. And things kind of quiet right now, and Doug, we might as well get some commercials in here before we get to green flag pit stop.
Sounds like a great idea. Alright, there is all your wonderful XCal news, including that butt kicker code, so don't forget to go check that out. Those are great. Know a lot of guys with them, and they absolutely love them, and definitely adds to the immersion. Still got Richard Holiday still at the front, Josh Oliver second. Marty is third, Noah Carpenter's still back here in fourth, and Charlie Beals is in fifth. Just looking back through the field a little bit here, Colin Hefner's still back there in 12th after starting way in the back, looks like 36th. And Brandon Varney, we've talked about him a little bit tonight. We talked about him a lot during the short track races the last few weeks. He is all the way up into up to 13th now, started 25th. So he's another one that's going to be there to watch, and it looks like he is just taking it fairly easy right now.
Yeah, he most certainly is. He is not really pushing it too hard. Neither really is Colin Hefner at this point, who's up to 12th after starting in 36th. A lot of these guys just kind of, biding their time. I think they wanted to get out of that rear of the field. They didn't want to be running back in the 30s. They wanted to make sure they were in striking range. But now that they're in that top 20, that top 15, I think a lot of these guys are just kind of cooling off a little bit. Now, I'll tell you who I love, whose strategy I love the best, and if I was in this race, what I would be trying to do. Luke Turpin. He always does this every time. He's running at 8th right now. He's not the last car in the lead pack draft, but he's right in the middle of it, and he's single file. He's keeping a good distance from the cars in front of him. He does this every single restrictor play race, Doug. Every time you go to a restrictor play race, pretty much the first, I'd say, 250 laps today. So probably for about the first 200 laps, you're going to see Luke Turpin running at about 7th or 8th, single file, keeping a decent distance between him and the car in front of him. Then when we get to about 50 to go, 40 to go, maybe even about 20 to go, you'll see him jump to the outside, and you'll see him making very aggressive moves, and he probably will get to the front of the field. Will he get the checkered flag or not? It's a crapshoot. This is a restrictor play race, but I can promise you at the end he'll probably be there.
Yeah, and we almost have to give him the prize of the strategy award here. I mean, he's every week we see he's playing the strategy game until about the last fourth of the race or so, and then about 20% of the race left, he cranks it up, finds another gear, and he goes to the front. He is definitely one to contend with all the time.
Well, here we go right now. Richard Holiday on the inside, still battling with Josh Oliver. It looked like Holiday cleared him for a moment, but Oliver did get back to his outside. Looking behind these guys, seeing if we have any changes in position really going down. Nothing really changing right now. We do have maybe a battle getting kind of tight here between Trevor Birchmere and the 85 of Jeremy Leto. But that one kind of simmered down as well. So right now, really the best action you're going to get is that battle for the top spot. Is Holiday and Oliver fighting to lead laps right now, and there is bonus points for leading the most laps. So I mean, Oliver and Holiday, well, they really aren't fighting for a ton. I mean, in these plate races, Doug, even though it's a crapshoot, somebody has to lead the most laps. Like it's just somebody has to. So there is a benefit to being out front in that retrospect, I guess.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, we're 8 races into the season now, and points are starting to add up. Some of these guys we're used to seeing up at the front, and we're seeing some new faces up here. And those guys the new faces up here, they're trying to make their way up through the points as well. Some of these guys will definitely be able to pick up quite a few points tonight. Guys like, Josh Oliver being new, but Marty, he'll definitely make up some points tonight if he can finish where he's at. Kendrick is another one that's usually just outside the top 10, but here he is. He is charging to the front and definitely got a fast car tonight. So this could not only be a big race for just a number of reasons, but that points battle could get totally flipped upside down here tonight.
I do think we've had some sort of an accident on the backstretch trying to see what happens. Chase Johnson does finally rejoin the field, so Johnson's going to get back out there. Trying to see what happened. I'm pretty sure we did have an incident of some sort go down, though. So
Bruce Helmuth spun, and he lost a wheel, collected a couple of different cars, and but we did not go under caution.
Yeah, he is still down there on the inside wall. That car is all mangled up. He was running up near the top 20 by Helmuth. It looks like you said, he went around on the backstretch. And yeah, he was running in 19th when it happened, and behind Rafael Sempruch. And let me see if Rafael got a piece of that. Rafael did not. Also going around was Logan Jones. It looks like Jones... I'm going to try to see what... Jones's car is undamaged, so Jones got away with that one pretty good. And I think it was Alex Gangler or Blake... It was Blake Wynn also went around, and Wynn didn't really get any damage. So Bruce Helmuth definitely got the worst of that, as did Jose Gaudino. Jose Gaudino lost his right front and his right rear. So Gaudino and Helmuth, both with pretty destroyed race cars sitting on pit road.
And that's tough. I thought I saw one wheel come off. I didn't see the other ones come off, though. So that's going to be some of these guys may be done for the night with that situation. We'll have to wait and see if they don't have a fast repair. So they're going to have to wait and see if they can get enough manual repair, if it'll let them put a wheel back on. And that's tough to lose two wheels. There's no telling how much damage it could have done to the underside of those cars and what it could mean for those two guys.
And that's just tough for those guys because, now at this point, your race is ruined. Like, there is really no coming back from that one. So they pretty much are out of contention. But you got to give props now to Logan Jones and not just Logan Jones, but of course Blake Wynn and the entire field for missing those two guys. So, those two guys went spinning in front of absolutely everyone, Doug, and that could have just been catastrophic. That could have ended a lot of races there. But somehow just Gaudino and Helmuth were the only two that got fatal damage. And, we're talking about an accident that could have taken 10 guys out.
Oh yeah, they were right in front of half the field. It could have been very, very bad at any moment. So these guys did a great job of avoiding it. They saw it about to happen. They got evasive and managed to get around everything. Really quite a bit of good driving there. Just sad to see two guys that are usually up at the front in contention already out for the night, or at least the race is done for all intents and purposes. They're gonna, even if they get repaired, they're going to be so many laps down, there's no way they can recover.
Yep, so 37 cars still on the lead lap of the 43 that took the green. Here on lap 71, we are still green with no yellows up to this point in the race as I knock on wood. Here are the guys that are out of contention. 67 laps down, John Friley. He sits on pit road. His night is done. Chase Johnson, 22 laps down, 42nd. He's out there on the racetrack. The car looks okay, but he is very far out of it. 5 laps down on the racetrack with no damages, Josh Rogers. And then obviously Godino 5 laps down on pit road with a lot of damage. Helmuth 5 laps down on pit road with a lot of damage. And then 38th with no damage, 1 lap down is Paul Coleman Jr. And then 37 cars still on the lead lap. As though the 51 of Chase Johnson's actually just taking it behind the wall. The 51 car is done for the evening as well. So he was running 42nd as they get real close for the lead right now. Up front, Josh Oliver and Richard Holiday might have touched doors through that corner. Holiday leads at the stripe.
And it looked like the 52 might have been giving the 03 a bit of a nudge down the front straightaway. The 03 got a little squirrely as they came through the quad oval. And the 03 down on the apron there briefly. But these guys are definitely pushing hard on the straightaways. They are not... they're not giving any room. You can see the 52 there is just right on that back bumper. If he's not physically pushing him, he's definitely giving him that little bit of an aero assist there through the straightaway and through the corners. They're getting, they've got to be getting close to their fuel window here, and I'd imagine that has a little bit to do with it. These guys want to be in the best position once they hit pit road.
You would certainly think so. And the green flag pit stops, if we end up getting them, they are going to be exciting. This isn't an easy place to make the pits off the corner, and it's going to take a lot of cooperation between all these guys to make this happen cleanly if they can do it. So we're definitely starting to get closer to that as things are starting to single file out. It looks like Beals is starting to drop back on the outside, and it's just Oliver now left alone to contend with Holiday. And for maybe Oliver, as the tires are really probably worn at this point, things are simmering down. You're the only car on the outside. If I was Oliver, I think at this point, Doug, I might just drop back, get to the inside, and get ready for this pit stop, which actually I think is exactly what Oliver's doing.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to drop back to about 7th or 8th, but... you know, he's got it. There's a spot back there by Leto that he can get into. He should be able to slide in. He does look like he's going to get to slide in here in just a minute. Yep, he is now single file. I do believe you're right. I think that's a strategy play. Here they come to the end of the run. We'll start seeing some hands out the window before you know it, and some green flag pit stops. Really, really surprised by the fact that A, we have so many cars still on the track, and B, that we're going to see green flag stops tonight. That's some impressive driving for these guys.
Yeah, no, we with the new damage model, we didn't know it was going to go this well. Knock on wood, still a long way to go. It could still go poorly, but so far, so good. And it's looking like, for all intensive purposes, as this first stint comes towards an end here, is it looks like the 66 of Paul Coleman's coming down pit road, so Paul Coleman might be starting these green flag pit stops. But it looks like Richard Holiday, after starting in 42nd, he's going to take the first green flag run, so... for the 03 team, a very strong first run. Also, for the 424 of Noah Carpenter, started 38th. He's looking like he's going to probably end this run up in 3rd. So, two guys that have just absolutely powered through this field.
Yeah, it is really amazing to look at it. The top 5 cars, only one car in the top, actually 6, has not had to pick up a ton of positions. That's Marty. Everybody else has picked up 10 or more positions. And you go back 7th place, Luke Turpin. He started back there in 7th. Then 8th place, Trevor Birchmeyer. He's picked up 2 positions, and Jeremy Leto's picked up 9. So these guys up here at the front, man, they have managed to drive through some of these guys through the entire field, like Richard Holiday. And now here they are at the front at the end of the first run. That kind of tells us we might be seeing some runaways. If they get any kind of separation after the pit stop, they might be able to run away with it.
It is certainly impressive. We're going to have to see what will happen here. This pit stop, though, it's going to separate the men from the boys. We're going to see who can get in and out of pit road cleanly. And, Doug, you got to remember, you're coming off the banking to come into the pits. Will the damage model affect your car if you come off that banking too abruptly? Will your car be able to, get into the pits safely? I mean, if you accidentally bump someone too hard getting into the pits, will the new damage model mess you up? Pits are going to be very, very dangerous here, Doug.
Oh yeah, they are definitely going to be dangerous. And we've seen a couple of guys get barely onto that apron, and they do get a little squirrely. So they're going to have to really, as you mentioned earlier, they're going to have to really communicate on these green flag stops and see if they're going to have to give each other a little bit of room. The guys are going to have to go to the high side. There's going to have to be a ton of cooperation. Even if the pit road entry doesn't, in the damage model, doesn't trigger problems, there could be other problems with guys going into pit road and guys coming off pit road, and that's going to separate everything out quite a bit. As the 52 starts looking a little bit low on the back straightaway. I wasn't sure if he was looking for a pass or if he's signaling to go to pit road.
Yeah, I saw Derek Colson just came into the pits. He was running on the lead lap. Looks like we do have a few early takers here. Here comes Jeff Edgar, the 21 now of Art Hendrens coming down. And yeah, we do have a few of the guys that were kind of running towards the tail end of the lead pack starting to come into the pits. The leaders probably won't be too long to follow as they are currently on lap 81 of 250 here. Richard Holiday out in front as he is, looks like, now, I don't know if he's coming down this time, but I think some of the cars in the lead pack are. I think I saw Kendrick Cryer in the 15. He has put his hand out the window. Cryer's coming down. Here comes the 13 of Josh Oliver. He's coming down pit road this time by. So a few of the guys on the lead pack starting to come down, and I think we're officially in the pit window.
I think so, and I'm seeing something you don't normally see a lot of. These guys are playing it really smart. They are ducking off really, really early into turn 3 and 4. They're getting down on that apron, getting themselves woed up. I imagine a lot of that has to do with the damage model, those concerns there. But yeah, these guys are playing it very smart, getting to pit road, at least this first time by. And so it'll be interesting to see, will they continue to do so? Will they find some more speed getting onto pit road in the next run? Just a lot of questions here, but this pit stop is definitely going to answer a lot. These guys staying out there, they're going to have to see if they decide to stay out a little bit longer. They might, it might impact them as well with fresh tires on some of these guys.
Yeah, 19 cars have come into the pit so far, and here we go. The leader's hands out the window. Richard Holiday is coming down this time by. Looks like Octavio Rondoletto will be. Looks like Marty Zakala will be. But Holiday doesn't pull off the track, so he is going to do this differently than we saw everyone else do it. Beals pulls off in the banking. Holiday abruptly goes down the banking, and he is going to pull in now in front of Zakala and the 424 as Zakala is going to pass him coming into the pits. Remember, Holiday has the second pit stall because he qualified so poorly in 42nd. He gets into a stall cleanly.
Yep, and now you've got, looks like Steven Rex is now up in the lead. He is not pitted yet. And seeing Luke Turpin, Trevor Birchmeyer, Jeremy Leto, Raphael is up there, Jonathan Schwartz, several new faces up at the front. We'll see how this plays out as well. How long are they going to try and stretch the big question here is going to be fuel. How long are they going to try and stretch it?
Well, it looks like this time by, Luke Turpin just jumped to the outside of Steven Rex. Luke Turpin's trying to get the bonus points for leading a lap, and Luke Turpin will lead a lap. So Turpin gets some bonus points for leading that lap. Him and Rex touch doors going into 1 and 2. They both go up the racetrack. That opens up the door for Trevor Birchmere. Birchmere is going to get underneath the 454 of Luke Turpin as guys coming out of the pits now are starting to rejoin. This could get dicey here. Looks like everyone's going to cycle back in. It's going to be Rex in the lead. Turpin's going to be in second. Third's going to be Birchmere. Fourth is Jeremy Leto. Still 14 cars have yet to come into the pits. We're still waiting on the top 14 to come down. This time by, no takers on lap number 85, at least in this front few. It does look like fifth place Rafael Sempruch is going to drop down. And behind these guys, it does not look like we have any more takers, or we do have a couple takers actually. 8th and 9th place are going to come down, and a few more guys into the pits now.
Yeah, and just looking through some of these times, there's a couple of guys that have had some really slow pit stops. If you factor in pit entry, pit exit, and pit stop time, there's quite a few guys out there that might have had some issues on pit road that got slowed down. Tyler McRae was one of them, so that can play into this as well as they come around and some of these guys start to cycle back onto the into the lead lap and onto the lead. That's going to set some of these guys way, way back if they've had a really bad run on pit road. That could definitely impact. Looks like you get Greg Hulls, Matt Baer, William Karp, Raphael on pit road. So a lot of these guys are going to have to be very careful, get a quick pit stop, and get back off of pit road very, very quickly.
So I just want to point out the 20 of Jose Gadinos got back out there 19 laps down. If you remember, he actually lost 2 wheels with the new damage model. So him getting back out there has shown that if you lose wheels, you can still get back out onto the racetrack. As now leader Luke Turpin will come down, Jeremy Leto comes down, and it looks like pretty much everyone has come down except Alex Gangler. Genghis is the only car that I'm reporting that has yet to come into the pits. He's still out there running in 6th position right now, and he should cycle through to the lead this time by the start-finish stripe. So let's see if Genghis does pick up the lead here. And no, Genghis is going to drop into the pits. He is not going to elect to stay out and lead a lap, and that will officially cycle through the pit cycle here, as we should have some guys rejoining. There's a few developments here, but we're going to wait a few laps and let everything cycle out before I start commenting on some things here. But I think Josh Oliver might not have taken the full fuel load when he came into the pits, because he only ended up 2 laps down compared to 3 or 4 laps down that everyone else ended up.
Yeah, I think I am seeing that as well with some of these pit stop times. There's some that look like they took 4 tires and they took enough fuel or all the fuel they could get with those 4 tires. But anybody that took a full fuel load was almost a minute slower than those guys who just did a quick 4 tire and as much gas as they can hold. That's definitely that could definitely play out to some guys' advantage if you're able to stay out there longer. Some of these guys that didn't take a full fuel load, 80 laps from now, they might, it might even be 40 laps from now, they might have to duck down pit road again. So that could definitely come into play here before too much longer.
Yeah, pretty much no matter what, this is a 2-stop race. Well, hold on, Doug. Now, the math I'm doing is in a world where if this race just magically went green, that's probably not going to happen if we're being honest. But if this race just somehow magically went green, you would have to come down pit road for 1 more full tank, and then you would have to come down with about 10 to 12 laps to go for a splash. So Oliver could have just reversed psychology, cut it off there. And another thing that's worth noting is Alex Gangler just got 88 laps out of that fuel run, as did Luke Turpin. If those guys can make it to about lap 159 next time, 160 before they have to pit, if they can make it to about lap 180 or about lap 179, 180, they might be able to make it to the end on fuel with just 1 more stop. So a couple variables starting to come into play here, Doug.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to spread the field out quite a bit, and strategy is going to come into play big time here as they go around, because you've got guys that are only going to do their short pit here in about 40-50 laps. So around lap 120 to 130, we'll see a small handful of guys come down pit road, and then around lap 160 to 170, we'll see another run. And as you mentioned, I think at 170 you could make it on fuel from there, maybe even a little earlier. So there's going to be a couple of guys that just play it safe, even some of these front runners that are just going to play it safe. The first person that looks like they took a full fuel load is going to be 11th place Aiden McConaughey, followed by Colin Hefner, Marty, Kendrick, Noah, Brandon Varney. So these guys all took a full fuel load. They're all being scored 1 lap down right now, but they might be the ones with the advantage when this is all said and done.
They very well could be, and I'm not positive, but I feel like Turpin and Gangler probably took a full tank as well. I'm not sure. One thing I do know for sure, though, is that our leader, Steven Rex, he is the leader right now. Second place, about a second behind Rex, is Trevor Birchmere. Third, 8.5 seconds behind our leader is Josh Oliver. Fourth, 15 seconds behind our leader is Luke Turpin, followed closely behind in 5th by Jeremy Leto. There's just 10 cars on the lead lap. When this pit cycle began, I should say, Richard Holliday was the leader. He is currently scored in 20th, 1 lap down, as his pit stop did not go as well as I'm sure he would have liked. And a variety of strategy here. But right now, Steven Rex is the leader by 1 second over Trevor Birchmere. Let's keep an eye, though, right now on the battle for about 6th on back, Doug, because Matthew Bear's in 6th, and then behind him you have a gaggle of cars that are all for position.
Yeah, and those guys are all within the same pit window, it looks like. I think we're going to see a lot of these guys that, they're going to be running together in these small groups. They're going to be racing with each other.
Oh, we just went 4 wide down the backstretch. I'm sorry there, Doug, but Noah Carpenter made a 4 wide move in between Marty Zakala, Kendrick Cryer, and Brandon Varney, and it worked. That was one of the most incredible things I've seen. We should keep an eye on this pack. It's actually, it begins with the 424 of Noah Carpenter, and it goes on back to about the 03 of Richard Holliday, where we have a lot of the cars that were racing for the lead still racing aggressively.
Yeah, they got 4 new tires and a full tank of fuel. They're not conserving anymore. You can definitely tell they were conserving at the end of that run, but oh wow, some power moves going into turn 3, just diving down down low. The 15 dove real low and cut the nose off on the car behind him, and that was quite a move. And he's going to pick up position. These guys are running extremely hard, and they're not even 100 laps into a 250 lap race.
No, incredible racing here. I mean, this is just awesome to watch right now. Don't worry, this is the best battles on the racetrack right now. You're not missing anything up front. It's still Steven Rex growing his huge lead. Right now, though, they are racing for about 11th, or this 13th through about 18th. Oh, so aggressively right now is Carpenter on the outside now. He's trying to pull his way up onto the high side of Cryer. Cryer doing a good job keeping that car held down onto the low side, but Cryer thinking about peaking to the high side. There's really nothing there for him. As Carpenter now is going to draw even with the number 15 of Cryer. He's now going to draw up to the 52 of Marty Zakala. 96 of Charlie Beals. He's coming up to the high side to help Carpenter. Carpenter gets loose, and Carpenter is going to lose all the progress he made, as everything's going to get pretty single file back there as everyone cycles through. And yeah, just a lot of cars spread out all over the racetrack right now. Out of the 43 cars that took the green flag, we still have 41 of them running right now. And they're all spread out pretty equally around the racetrack.
Yeah, and we're starting to see these little packs forming all over the track, and it'll be interesting. The bigger the pack, the quicker they'll be able to get back up to the next group. But they're so spread out right now that if it stays green flag racing, pit strategy will be key. They'll have to unlap themselves or get that back to the lead lap via pit strategy. And this group that we're looking at here, they all look like they have taken a full fuel load. So there's no telling what's going to happen here. The strategy is kind of mind-boggling at this point with all these different groups out here, and at least looks like about 3 different strategies. We had a small group that pitted early. We had a group that pitted pretty much on cycle but did not take a full fuel load, and a group that pitted on cycle and later in the cycle and did take a full fuel load. Just looking at the statistics on it, I mean, there's quite a few different variations out there right now. I'm not sure what's going to happen as we go on, but it looks like this pack, led by the 52, is starting to close up on the next pack up in front of him with the 99 of, the 99 of Tyler McRae right there in the middle.
So yeah, McRae is in the middle of that battle. That's about 6th through 9th. Although a lot of those cars are team cars. The 19 and 61 are Rolling Thunder Racing teammates, and the 99 and 21 are teammates at Dropping Bombs Racing. So maybe kind of a friendly alliance going on there with not too much, not pressing the issue too much right now. Looking at some of these other battles on the track right now, though, looks like the battle for 11th and 12th is pretty calm, cool, and collected right now. The battle for 13th through about 17th has let off a little bit. Then you get all the way back to 20th, and you have Richard Holiday leading a pack of about 4 or 5 cars. The battle there isn't anything too exciting right now either. And like you said, it looks like we have a lot of team stuff going on. So kind of what happens here, Doug's, is you come into the pits with your teammates because you're talking to them in channels. You guys are going to get on the same strategy, and you're going to obviously leave the pits with them to get their draft. And now what we're seeing is I see the 78 and 77 running nose to tail. I see the Dropping Bombs cars are all running with each other. I see a lot of Big Block Motorsports cars with each other. I see the 2 Rolling Thunder Racing guys with each other. It's kind of like everyone just found their teammates in the pits, and now everyone's comfortable just clicking off laps with their teammate.
Yeah, and as we hit lap 100, the 77 and 78, that's Octavio Rondoletto, they've picked up quite a few spots since the beginning. Octavio up 13 spots already and picking up more as they go along. So that's going to be interesting to watch that play out as well, as which teams will work together better to get a little bit further up the track, and which ones of them are going to be playing it safe and just trying to make it to the end and worry about it in the last 50 laps, because I'm sure we're going to have, looks like the 78 got way loose getting into 3. He did. He got way loose, managed to get it gathered back up, but he was way up the track there for a moment.
Yeah, great save there. That could have been catastrophic right in front of our leader, Steven Rex. What a save there by the 78 of Gregorio Emiliano Dorso. I believe this is only his first or second XCal start. I cannot remember. but new to the league and certainly trying to make a good impression on the leaders right now as he almost lost his race car in front of them. So Gregorio keeps it going the right way. We're down to just 9 cars in the lead lap as Alex Gangler has lost a lap. He's still running in 10th, but he lost a lap to the leaders. Our leaders are close to putting 6th through 9th a lap down. They're not too far behind that pack, although that pack is kind of single filed out and got things running. And, the one thing that I'm noticing right now, Doug, is we do have all these little packs. We keep talking about it. They're all single file. None of these packs are pressing the issue at all. Everyone just seems like they're content to run single file right now. And I don't really see much of an issue being pressed anywhere on the racetrack at this moment.
No, just quick going through the field. None of these cars are really pushing it very hard at all right now. It looks like Kenny Tripp's leading a pack, or second in line in his pack. Nobody up there is pushing it. They're all staying single file. You saw Octavio back there. He was leading the leaders around, actually. Nobody's pushing it back there. And one of our early battles for the lead, Blake Wynn, he's single file, about third in line in his little pack there. Everybody's kind of spread out in different places. There's not a lot of guys together for position. And there's a few guys, and a few of these groups are for position, but you got a lot of mix and match in there. Different strategies, put them on different laps. So there's really a lot going on without a whole lot going on at this point in time. As we close in on halfway, I'd imagine that here in about 20 laps, a few of these guys might start pushing a little bit harder, picking up what positions they can, and setting themselves up to get up to the front in the final 1 or 2 pit stops.
So right now the battle for the lead has tightened up a little bit. Trevor Birchmere has gotten the lead draft and he's caught up to his teammate Steven Rex. So we have the Dropping Bombs teammates are just separated by the lap car of Logan Jones, who's in 29th. So that at least is kind of interesting for the lead, although don't expect him to race too hard. Remember, they are teammates. And that is really it. For a second there, I thought we were having another little battle start to form. It does look like there has been a change in position. Noah Carpenter just went around Tyler Batchelder. That's for 17th and 18th. Tyler Batchelder, top 10 in points right now. He's had a very quiet, good start to the year. Batchelder has been consistently running top 15 every week. He only has 2 top 10s, Doug, but he only has 1 race where he finished worse than 16th, and because of that, he sits up there in 8th in points right now. You don't have to be winning every week to be running high in the points. If you can just consistently be running around 15th, you'll find your way up there.
Yeah, and that's definitely what he's doing here tonight. He's just clicking off the laps back there in 16th place. We saw him up front early in the race, but he's fallen back to about 16th, and he's just riding at the moment. That's one of those cars that when he's ready, he can go. And when he's ready, I am sure we're going to see him charge to the front. I do believe he's only about 1 lap down right now, and he's still within striking distance of getting back into the top 10 and picking up some more points here tonight.
So Rex right now continuing to lead, and Rex probably has got to be getting close to the most laps led if he does not have it. Just by being out front right now, he is getting to lead a lot of laps. And Steven Rex, as of late, he's in the midst of a very good streak. I believe he has finished in the top 10 in 3 of his last 4 races, including a first career top 5 finish for him. So Steven Rex has been running very well as of late. He finished 8th last week at Southern National. And the week before that, whenever XCal went to Bristol, he finished in the 10th or 15th position, excuse me. That was the one race he didn't finish in the top 10. And the week before that, Phoenix, he finished 5th for his first career top 5. So Rex has been running very good as of late and clicking away a lot of laps right now in the lead here at Texas. The 28 team hoping to find themselves climbing up the point standings even more after this week.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note they just pitted about 30 laps ago, but the lap times are already starting to fall off. He's about a half a second slower than he was on fresh tires at this point. And we're seeing that throughout the field. Even in these big packs, the speeds are starting to fall off a little bit. And these guys that have saved a little bit further back in line, as they get closer to pit stops, they're going to be coming to the front. But with Steven Rex out front right now, he's got 2 cars right in front of him. He can follow. He's probably taking it a little bit easy himself right now. We've seen these guys close back up on him, and nobody's really fighting him, and so he doesn't have to push that car very hard. He might be one that tries to stretch that last stop out.
He very well could be. As we hit lap number 110, we're actually getting pretty close to halfway, which means some more Higgins halfway will be coming up in just 15 laps as they click away another lap this time by. So Steven Rex leading the race. The guy in third, by the way, still Josh Oliver. He's kind of in no man's land. There are no cars racing for position near him. He's 5 seconds in front of Luke Turpin and 11 seconds behind second place. So Josh Oliver just kind of running his own zip code. He is right behind 33rd place Blake Wynn and right in front of 34th place Joe Campbell right now. As he is actually running in the pack with the cars that are running about 30th through 37th. I don't know how Oliver ended up there, but it's a pretty safe place for him to be running, as these guys are just running a moderate pace right now, not doing anything too wild. Then obviously you get back to fourth, you have Luke Turpin. He is running in a pack also with fifth place Jeremy Leto, although they're separated by a lot of lap cars right now. Then Matthew Bear and Greg Holes continue to run bumper to nose to bumper. Those two only in a pack of 3 cars right now, kind of just going slower around the racetrack than anybody else. It's Rafael Sempruch, Matthew Bear, and Greg Holes just on their own little island. And then Tyler McRae and Art Hendren, they're running around with Johnny B and the 31 of Josh Rogers. So just a full 4-car pack right there. So nothing side by side. If anything, just getting more and more spread out. Really, the biggest pack on the racetrack, if you're curious what it is, I would say it's probably about maybe 11 cars. It starts with Colin Hefner in the number 87, and it looks like it goes all the way back to Tyler Batchelder in 19th. Tyler Batchelder in 19th. So the biggest pack, it looks like, just about 8 cars right now.
Yeah, and those cars, it's one of the only packs on the track right now that is actually battling, or could be battling, for positions. Right now they're just riding along as Hefner's getting a bit of a push from McConaughey right now. They are the ones that could be battling for positions, but you're not seeing a lot of it. And as soon as I say that, we've got cars starting to move around back in the pack. It looks like Brandon Varney might be the one to the outside. No, I'm sorry, that is Kendrick Cryer that's moved to the outside. He's trying to actually pick up some positions here.
Yeah, here we go. Now Zakala's going to jump up to the high side. He gets to the outside of Luke Turpin. Turpin's a lap ahead of all these guys, so he definitely does not want anything to do with this racing right now. They are going side by side now, though. Zakala on the high side trying to get to the front of this pack. Zakala to the outside of Turpin now. He's trying to come up on the Helenar Racing Team teammates of Colin Hefner and Aiden McConaughey. McConaughey won a race earlier this season. He won at the Rockingham Speedway, and probably the biggest upset win of the season. Right now, he is running a comfortable 12th position, although he has a challenger on the outside from Marty Zakala, as these guys are giving us some good racing action here. And that big pack, I say big pack, it's only 8 cars. It's the biggest pack we got right about now. Zakala side drafts a little bit right now off the number 17 of McConaughey. He does get a good run now to the 87 of Hefner. 3 cars on the outside, and I think we're getting to the point in this run where these guys started to get a little bored and they wanted to race a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. I'm not seeing a whole lot else on the track of battling, but like we mentioned, that this is the only group that really has a lot of people that could battle for position, and it looks like they decided to crank it up a little bit. As you mentioned, Aiden McConaughey did win at Rockingham earlier this season, and this is the legacy version of Texas, which means that concrete is a little bit rougher. It does wear the tires out a little bit quicker, and it's a little bit harder to drive than the newer version. And that's more similar to Rockingham than anything else they've run this season so far. So it'll be interesting to see if Aiden can pull off another upset here tonight. And he would be the first person to win twice this season. So that definitely would be a great deal for him. And, that's something that he definitely wants to do right now. And he is hanging with his teammate. They could work their way up to the front together. They're not that far out of it. Aiden in 10th right now.
We've had a change for the lead. Trevor Birchmere has gotten around Steven Rex, so Birchmere passed his teammate, is now the one of Trevor Birchmere that's clicking away laps, leading in the number 1 dropping bombs machine. So the 2 teammates, I think Rex led enough laps, and he said, you know what, Trevor, if you want to lead some, you can go ahead and lead a few. Birchmere now out in front, as Rex is going to pull in behind. And here comes Rex actually back to the inside. Rex is going to take the lead back from Birchmere. And now I'm starting to think maybe it was just a gentleman's agreement there that Rex said, you know what, Trevor, I'll let you get the bonus point for leading the lap.
Yeah, and one of the things I really like about the whole XCal thing is it's the traditional point systems. You know, from the pre 2005, where the you get a point for leading a lap, and you see things like that. Teammates letting another teammate lead a lap, or competitors working together because they're racing for certain positions in points. They're trying to make their way to the front. It's the middle of the race, and nothing exciting is going on at the moment anyway. So why not let your teammate get that extra point or extra couple of points for leading a lap? That definitely makes it a lot more fun for these guys, and it helps them out in the long run. I bet their car owner is loving that one too.
I'm sure Tyler McRae is probably smiling wherever he's at right now. Well, he's sitting in eighth, so he has a lot to smile about right now. A lot of dropping bombs cars having good runs. We actually have 4 dropping bombs cars in the top 10. They run first, second, and then Tyler McRae's in eighth and Art Hendren in ninth. A good run for DBR up to this point. As this time by the flag stand, there are 5 laps left till we're at the halfway point, and that means it is time for Higgins, the XCal superfan. I am curious to see what he has in store here for halftime. This first half has went by so quickly. Higgins might not even be as drunk as he usually is yet.
He may not be, but he was supposed to deliver some scotch to the booth, and he hasn't done that yet.
No, he is not. We're still patiently awaiting Higgins to get up here with that, so hopefully he can make his way. Hopefully he's coherent enough to make his way up here for that. But Higgins, the XCal super fan, as always, he is coming up on the horizon here. As by the way, that pack that big pack that we have with about 10 cars, the action is very tight right now. Zakala is racing aggressively on the high side of Hefner right now. They are 2x2x2 pretty much all the way throughout that pack right now. Those guys, I guess they got sick of playing nice. It was time for them to start racing. And right now it's Zakala on the high side with the advantage at the stripe for 11th position. As some great racing going on right here between these guys. And I think it's good to race like that a little bit just to keep yourself warm for the end of the race. You know, you don't want to just get completely out of rhythm. You want to keep racing with cars, keep running close to someone, so when it's late in the race, you don't kind of get out of your element.
Yeah, if you're not pushing at least a little bit each run, then you're not going to remember what your car will do later in the run. You might get complacent, and when you need to go, you won't be able to, or you'll make a huge mistake. So it's good on them to at least get up there and compete just a little bit, make sure that they can still know what their car is going to do on the long run, on the short run, and, you know, push themselves just a little bit. And that definitely benefits the entire group because everybody behind them is seeing what's going on. Those 2 cars to the inside, they're going to learn what their cars can do on the long run, holding that bottom line. We saw late in that first run on that bottom line, we had guys that were drifting up mid-corner, and the outside line had to kind of get evasive a couple of times to avoid it. So just a lot of activity. Oh, as we get a little bit of a bump there, the 52 gets together with the 87 there coming off turn number 4.
Yeah, looks like everyone's going to keep it facing the right way. Thankfully there, that got very, very hectic. So everyone keeps things facing the right way for the moment, as that was an exciting moment in comparative to what we've seen so far. Steven Rex comes by the flag stand once again, and he's going to begin lap 125. So next time by, they'll have the crossbars in hand. Halfway down, halfway to go it'll be. As Steven Rex, I believe, has had to have led the most laps at this point, as he has been out in front off the strategy for a little while. We're probably getting close to seeing these guys that maybe didn't take the full fuel cell having to come down to the pits pretty soon. We will be monitoring that. But here we go. It's Steven Rex in the 28 car. He is going to bring Trevor Birchmere through turns 3 and 4. And as they come off the corner, this time by, the flag man holds the crossbars in hand. Halfway down, halfway to go. You know what that means. It's time for Higgins, the XCal superfan, wherever he may be.
Howdy, partner. So, I asked Holly if I could get a Falcon, and she said we don't have the money for a Falcon. So I told her I'll use the money from the 3-wheeler, and she said it's not sold yet. So I decided I'm going to start small, and I'm going to get a Seagull. So I got half a corn dog on some fishing line here out in the parking lot. And there's this one, keeps getting close, but there's just, I got so many beer cans sitting around me here in the lot. that every time I move and try and get the seagull, it makes too much noise and it scares it away. So once I do finally get it, I'm hoping I can train them to call when security's coming, so I don't have a situation like last week and I can just eat my greasy drunk snacks in peace. Now, Jordan earlier, he got me thinking about drinking whiskey, so I'm really hoping this seagull likes Evan Williams, because I went and got some to drink for the remainder of the race here. So it's time to sit back and get drunk with a bird and watch some racing. Back up to you guys.
All right, well, thank you, Higgins. The XCal super fan is. It sounds like he's having a good time down there, Doug.
Yes.
Oh, caution! Caution! For the first time tonight, caution is flown on the speedway just past halfway, and the 66 of Paul Coleman Jr., that car is destroyed, Doug.
Yeah, it looked like he might have. There was some sort of glitch when he came through. We see a wheel going off of his car as he backs into the wall, but he just got off into the corner, got turned around late in the run. Might have been a tire issue. His motor is gone. It looks like he may be done for the night. As we were starting to see some guys hit green flag pit stops as well.
Yeah, it looks like Kendrick Cryer also got a piece of that one. I'm trying to see the exact extent of the damage to the Cryer 15 machine. But a terrible stroke of luck there for both Cryer and Coleman, as just past halfway, we get the first caution that this event's going to see. And, oh my goodness, Doug, I cannot believe that we just went the whole first half of that race caution-free.
Yes, we did. And looking at Kendrick Cryer's card, he is in just as bad a shape. He's pretty tore up there. The advantage is definitely to some of these guys who stretch their fuel mileage at this point. You know, they're going to be able to stay out and lead a lap, possibly. There's several different strategies as we hit the halfway point, but that's two more cars that might be out for the night.
We'll have to see. And oh no, there's the glitches happening. Remember how I mentioned there's kind of the glitch where iRacing can throw you out of the server because there's just something new with this update? iRacing threw Marty Zakala, Alex Gangler, and Derek Colson all out of the server. Zakala was in a wave around spot before that happened. Colson was only 2 laps down, and Gangler was also in a wave around spot. So we're going to have to see what XCal is going to do to address that iRacing server issue.
Yeah, and we knew coming into tonight we were going to deal with some glitches, but you always do. We knew the damage model was going to be an issue, but the kicking him out of the server, that's a bit worrisome, especially for some of those guys right up there in the front. You know, if they're getting kicked out, these are some names that have been up and competitive all night. So that's definitely going to hurt several guys in the points battles as well.
Yeah, they all get reconnected now, but that is very unfortunate for those 3 drivers, as we knew things like that were possible with the new update, but we're going to have to see if race control tries to give them the laps back they should have. What we're going to have to see is it looks like Zakala is already back in here. He only lost a lap in the process. Looks like Gangler's back in here. He's only lost a lap in the process. Colson, I believe, has only lost 1 lap in the process. So race control might be able to correct this with a wave around. We'll have to wait and see what they do, as it looks like we are going to have a bunch of cars back on the lead lap now. Looks like we have 20 cars are on the lead lap. 20 cars are on the lead lap, as a few cars are getting serviced on pit road. The first car 1 lap down is going to be Richard Holiday. Then Rafael Semperuch and Art Hendren. Those are the 3 cars that are the first cars 1 lap down.
Yeah, and as far as strategy goes from this point forward, everybody can make it on one more stop from here, and they can even split it. We'll have less than 120 laps to go, so they don't even have to use a full fuel tank. They can go 3/4 full, get to 60 laps, pit, and then make the rest of the race on a minimal amount. Or they could stretch it. So there's still some strategy there. Some of these guys might try and stretch it as far as they can and then pit. And we've seen that this race has gone green flag. Now that they're going to be packed back up, though, things might change a little bit. We saw mid-pack, saw a lot of guys getting a little bit racy right there before that caution. So a lot is up in the air now. The biggest thing is going to be trying to correct what happened to a couple of these guys who got disconnected.
All right, I've keyed up the radio now of our in-car reporter and our current points leader, Jordan Babinger. And Jordan, I'll tell you what, when we knew about the new damage model and we knew all the things that were outside of XCal's control coming into this race, everyone was kind of buckled up, getting ready for what could be a rough night. I don't think anyone saw the first half of the race going green. Tell me, what was it like out there that first run, getting 125 laps of green flag racing in?
Yeah, it was just a lot of strategizing, really. We were just figuring out what would be our best options for fuel. And yeah, we were surprised as everybody else was. That was for sure. That's for sure.
Well, Jordan, it looks like your dropping bombs teammates, they played the strategy pretty well. We saw Steven Rex up front with Trevor Birchmere leading a lot of laps, and we also saw Art and Tyler up in the top 10. So tell me, what do you need to do here now to get the number 48 car back into contention?
Well, good news is we got a full tank there, and they did not end up with a full tank. But yeah, it worked out in their strategy there a little better. Just needed to get to lap 160, and we would have been green flag stopping again. But it should work out here. I'm confident.
All right, Jordan. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We'll let you catch up with your team. We'll talk to you if we get another caution.
All right, thank you. Enjoy the race.
All right, that's the 48 of Jordan Babinger, our current points leader. He sits P30 2 laps down. Like he said, he got the full tank the first time he came down, and that didn't play into his favor, as Paul Coleman Jr. has been disqualified, by the way. Coleman disqualified for what race control deemed was him causing that yellow. So Coleman's no longer in the field, and race control has delayed this caution a couple times. I think they might be trying to address the curveballs iRacing's thrown at them.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. And you heard Jordan talk about it. This kind of threw their original strategies out the window, but everybody's going to have a very similar strategy. At least they know they can go the distance on fuel with one more, or go the distance with one more stop, I should say. So that's definitely going to shake things up a little bit. There's a lot of different. We saw that long green flag run, and the pack got spread out. But as we saw early, the first 30, 40 laps, everybody was packed up together. We're in the second half of the race, and I don't think we saw a couple guys early in the race that intentionally dropped to the back after leading a few laps. I don't think we're going to see any of that on this restart. I think what we're going to see is more hardcore racing, and things might get a little dicey before this thing is all said and done.
So the way they're going to line up, it's going to be Steven Rex in first. Second place is going to be Trevor Birchmere. They're lined up in the front row. The third car lined up is going to be Bruce Helmuth, who's in 41st, 20 laps down. On his outside will be the number 84, and the 84 machine is 25th, 2 laps down. And then we have the 81 of Blake Wynn in 31st. Then Ron Walters in the 9 car, who's in 26th. And it's just kind of a hodgepodge of cars here right now. Third place, Matthew Bear, is single file lined up way back in the field. We have 17 cars on the lead lap, and I do believe we're going green this time by.
Yeah, and just a quick look. Look who's in 13th place. That is Octavio Rondoletto. Has made his way all the way up through the field up to 13th place now. So that's another one to watch tonight.
And what this caution does now, too, is this pretty much slices it. It's a two-stop race no matter how you're looking at it. Here we come off turn 4. The pace car pulls off. Field in the hands of Steven Rex. Birchmere gets a big advantage there on his teammate. Green flag in the air. Birchmere goes right away. Birchmere with a huge lead at the start-finish line, and Birchmere is going to have the lead. Let's see if he pulls down in front of his teammate. And I'll be honest with you, Doug, I think you're probably about to see the one car get a black flag, and yep, the one car just got a black flag.
Yeah, it did look like he got started very early on that restart and got way too far out in front. Of course, you can't pass to the inside, and there is a limit to what you can do on the outside on a restart. And you know, if the game wasn't going to throw, if the sim wasn't going to throw it, it was probably the admin's going to throw it, because that was a bit of a stretch on that restart. Now it's going to take him a couple laps just to drop to the back of the field and find some place he can go and reclaim, get down low and get on the pit road.
And you know what really is a shame there, Doug? That was such a pointless mistake to make. You had your teammate on the inside. Remember, he's in second place, and it was just those two guys. Third place is like 10 rows behind him. And there was just no reason for that mistake there, Doug. He just kind of shot himself in the foot for no reason.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, he's trying to get the lead a lap and get the points, but he had already done that. So, he's not going to get the bonus points for most laps led at this point. Steven Rex is probably going to be running for that one. And I just don't see, you're right, it was a completely pointless move. But sometimes we get out there in the heat of battle and get a little crazy.
Yeah, I can't blame him. I've definitely made my fair share of pointless mistakes. It's just when you make them, you look back on them later on, and you're like, man, what could have been? Well, Steven Rex is now in the lead, not contested at all. There is nobody behind the 28 cars for position. Tyler McRae gets loose in the middle of the field. He is still saving the race car. He is trying to save it. He is doing everything he can to save that race car. He does save that race car. Oh my goodness, Tyler McRae almost wrecked about 5 times there, but he keeps it going the right way. So McRae does recover. Update on the couple drivers that got kicked from the server. Marty Zaccali, he's 4 laps down. Alex Gangler's 4 laps down. Derek Colson's 5 laps down. They were victims of unfortunate circumstances there. Tyler Jalbert just exited the pits. He had to serve an iRacing black flag. He's back out in the competition. So up front, it's Rex leading. Second place is Noah Carpenter. Carpenter's actually starting to cut his way up through this pack of lap cars. It looks like Carpenter wants to get up front and contest for this thing. We'll have to see what Carpenter can do. If a caution were to fly, the first 3 cars 1 lap down are Trevor Birch, they're Josh Oliver, Tyler Batchelder, and Tyler McRae. And that is pretty much an update on everything that's going on the racetrack.
It's interesting. The 424, Noah Carpenter, he started way in the back of the field. He started about 38th. He made his way up to the front very, very early on and sliced his way through all that traffic. He's only got about a little over half a dozen cars to get through this time to get up there to the front. If I were Steven Rex, I think I'd be going full throttle all the way around this track, no holds barred, because that 424 is coming quickly.
Yes, he is. And remember, this race went green for so long, you don't know how this race is going to play out. It could go green very well the rest of the way, knocking on wood, not trying to jinx it. But I mean, from what we've seen so far, I almost think everyone is just so cautious. They know how bad the damage is. They've seen the horror. Now they've seen a wreck where 2 cars got absolutely mutilated. Everyone just seems to be taking it so easy. And here we go for the lead, or as I interrupt myself, the 424 is going for the lead, and Noah Carpenter will lead that lap. So Carpenter takes the lead away from Rex. It's that Asphalt Motorsports 424 taking this top spot away from Rex. Rex gets loose on the inside. Carpenter keeps that car on the high side. Let's see if Carpenter gets a run off the corner here. They come down the backstretch, and no, it's Rex drawing back even on the inside. Carpenter on the high side, though, doing a nice job. And Carpenter takes the caution.
Looks like the 04 of Tyler Jalbert got turned. Couldn't quite tell who was right behind him, but he just got turned on the back straightaway, and that's what brought us under caution.
Yeah, so something happened with the 04 of Tyler Jalbert there as... Yeah, it looks like him and the 78 of Gregorio got together. And then, yeah, Jalbert just went into the inside wall. And I do think that was an isolated incident. I do think that was just Tyler Jalbert involved in that. But nonetheless, a tough break there for Tyler Jalbert. And, well, Doug, while we go under caution, we might as well take a chance here to take a commercial break and maybe give a shout-out to Butt Kicker.
Alright, we are back, and it looks like just about everybody at the front went ahead and pitted. Waiting for scoring to update, but it looks like Jeremy Leto is going to be up in the front. Noah Carpenter is second, and I do believe just about the entire field has pitted or is on pit road currently. So everybody taking advantage of it. They don't think that they can go the distance from this point, but we'll have to wait and see. They have to be within about 80 laps to go to be able to get there, and some of those guys even less than that. Some guys a little bit more. There might be a few guys that can stretch it from here.
There very well could be, and we're going to have to keep monitoring that and see what happens there. I have a couple updates. Pat Sullivan, he got into the outside wall, and because of the new damage model, getting into the outside wall, he ended up with 8 minutes of required repairs. So he's sitting on pit road, 7 laps down right now, and he is continuing to go more laps down. Tyler Jalbert sitting on the pits with a lot of damage right now. He's 5 laps down. Expect him to go more laps down. And yeah, he actually is just left the race. He is done for the evening. And it looks like so the 04 of Jalbert is out of it. And we still have 39 cars are still on the track. About 34 are still in competitive condition. And about 18 are going to be on the lead lap. So we will we'll see what happens when we get back on green here. We're gonna have a lot of guys lined up properly. Finally, here's how they're gonna line up. It's gonna be Jeremy Leto in the lead. Second's gonna be Steven Rex. Third will be Richard Holliday. Fourth will be Art Hendren. Fifth will be Colin Hefner. Sixth will be John Schwartz. Seventh will be Luke Turpin. Or actually, it looks like Turpin's gonna be fourth. Excuse me. Turpin's gonna be fourth. Fifth is gonna be Art Hendren. Then it looks like in 6th, we are going to have, I believe that's Colin Hefner. Then in 7th, it is going to be, it kind of gets messy after that, but the top 6 will be all starting with each other, and Jeremy Lettle will be in the lead for the first time tonight.
Looks like Matt Baer, Kenny Tripp, Noah Carpenter, and Brandon Varney will round out the top 10 right now. And yeah, after that, it's still a little bit messy back there. Trying to correct still trying to get everything corrected from the iRacing glitch earlier. So definitely a lot going on at this point. And just taking a look at it, it's going to be really close on fuel. There's a couple of those guys that made it to lap 88, 89 before they stopped on that first green flag run. If they don't push too hard, they might be able to go the distance from here.
It is a possibility, and I'm just watching here to see the cars that are supposed to be in the wave around. It looks like we are, so it looks like Jeff Edgar, Joke Campbell, and Rafael Sempruch are supposed to be taking the wave arounds. And what could be happening here right now is I think the 84 might not have might not have taken off to take the wave around yet. I'm not sure, but I've seen things like this happen before, and this could be the issue here. The lights are off on the pace car, though, so I do believe we're going green this time by. Jeremy Leto will be in the lead. It'll be Steven Rex on his outside, and as we come through turns 3 and 4, the field is at the mercy of the 85 Racing number 85 machine, piloted by Jeremy Leto. Pace car pulls off, and as they come down towards the green flag, let's crank it up for a minute on this restart. All right, and as we crank it up there for a minute, things are already happening. Richard Holliday, he gets underneath the 28 of Steven Rex. Holliday now jumps to the outside. Holliday's trying to make the move for the lead there on the 85 of Jeremy Leto. Remember, Holliday led quite a few laps early on. Maybe he wants to take back the most laps led from Steven Rex. Holliday races really close to the 85 right now as the 85 kind of slides up the racetrack. Holliday gives him the space he needs. Now Luke Turpin pulls up in third right now. Turpin's going to pull up behind Jeremy Leto. Let's see which line will do it as caution's out on the speedway, and we have a third caution in a row here.
See if we can find what happened on the track.
It looks like Joe Campbell had a part of it, but it happened in front of him. It was the 5 of Derek Colson.
It looked like the car to the outside of Derek just got a little loose through the turn, and several cars collected through there. But he got a little loose, came down onto the 5, and the 5 might be done. He looked pretty tore up. A couple other cars are torn up as well.
Yeah, Joe Campbell in the 84, he got a bad piece of that. That car's looking pretty tore up. I think Jeff Edgar might have gotten a piece of that one. Looks like, yeah, the 84 is really tore up after that one. Let's see, Jeff Edgar in the 7 machine. I'm getting reports that he could have been involved. He definitely was involved. That car had heavy damage. And, yeah, a few cars kind of biting the dust there. But Derek Colson, Joe Campbell, it looks like Greg Holes, and Jeff Edgar getting the worst of that one.
Yeah, that's going to put at least one or two of those cars may be out of the race at this point. This late in the race and that much damage, there's no telling. But we're seeing a lot of the lead pack come to pit road as well. So, like, you got Luke Turpin, Steve Rex, Kenny Tripp, Matt Baer, Art Hendren, Colin Hefner, Octavio Rondoletto, who's been working his way up slowly and steadily. They're all on pit road. Meanwhile, Jeremy Leto, Richard Holliday, and Noah Carpenter all stay out. So a lot of different, continuing the variety of the different strategies here. Everybody out there had pitted on the last time by. I'd imagine these guys that are hitting pit road now, they're just topping off on fuel. There's really no need to get tires, so they can just top off on fuel and see if they can go the rest of the way from here.
I'll be curious to see how far they can go. But we are just about to get 100 laps to go in this one. And with 100 laps to go, Doug, I'm curious to see how these last 100 go. I wonder if they're going to be more like the first 125 laps, or if we're going to start to see cautions become a trend.
I don't know. We saw 2 back-to-back cautions, and the old saying is that cautions breed cautions, and just a lot of craziness going on in the second half of this race. So I expect to see at least 1 or 2 more cautions and probably one good long green flag run at some point. The question is going to be when that green flag run comes and when those cautions occur, and how much it's going to mess up or give an advantage to some of these drivers. Before this caution, we had 15 cars on the lead lap. We'll probably have a couple more this time around. It looks like Aiden McConaughey, Josh Oliver, and Logan Jones all 1 lap down. They should be in position to get back to the lead lap. So, yeah, we could see several different things occur here. As it looks like they are getting waved around.
Yeah, so the wave rounds that time, Aiden McConaughey, Josh Oliver, Logan Jones, they're going to get back onto the lead lap as they make their way around the pace car. So that'll put us up to 18 cars on the lead lap, as we do have 3 more cars with just 1 lap down. Tyler Batchelder, Rafael Semperuch, and Tyler McRae are all just 1 lap down. And then after those guys, we have a gaggle of cars 2 and 3 laps down before we start to get to some of the more heavily damaged cars. Greg Hull sitting on pit road with a lot of damage right now. The 96 of Charlie Beals, that car looks very tore up right now, but he's actually he's on the lead lap in 7th with no hood right now, and that car is somehow going to be able to stay out there, so good for Beals. But Holes is on pit road with a ton of damage right now. The 84 car, that 84 car is all tore to pieces right now. It's a shame because in his XCal debut, Joe Campbell really wasn't having a bad day. He was kind of just staying out of trouble and keeping that thing running. But it's going to be a while before he gets that car back out there with how much damage is on it now. And then still on pit road, the 5 of Derek Colson. Unfortunately for Derek, if he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all. Every single week, he's getting collected in something not of his doing. This week, no different. Coulson sitting on pit road after a big accident that wasn't his fault.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Coulson got caught actually twice last week in a couple of very big wrecks. The first one he managed to get through it fairly cleanly, just a minor damage, but the second one almost took him out of the race. So, yeah, that's a tough run of luck for him, but hopefully he'll be able to get back up here to the front in 2 weeks when we come back. And another interesting tidbit tonight, I just noticed the new pace car.
Oh yeah, I noticed that earlier. I almost mentioned it, but I just kind of slipped my mind. It's very sleek. Is that a Holden?
I believe that's a Holden nose, a BMW trunk, and I'm trying to determine the body shape because they said they took elements from every car manufacturer that is represented on iRacing. So there's the Holden grill. I believe those are Corvette headlights, and yeah, and a BMW tail end. I'll try and figure this out as the race goes on. If we see another caution, I'll take a closer look at it.
Yeah, that is neat. I like it. That is a sharp-looking car as we're getting ready to go green with just under 100 laps to go. It's going to be Jeremy Leto in the number 85 car leading the field down. Richard Holiday will be on his outside in second. Third is Noah Carpenter. Fourth is Luke Turpin. And fifth, highest we've seen him run all night, will be the 77 of Octavio Rondoletto. So Rondoletto, well within striking distance now as he has been running fairly solid all night, anywhere between 10th and about 25th, but first time tonight that we've seen him up really near the top 5.
Yeah, and I called it a little bit ago. He's not pushing real hard, but he's steadily picking off positions, especially late in the run. If this thing stays green, these guys at the front will have to watch for him. Pace car ducking off onto pit road now.
And here we go. Green flag in the air. We're down and away. Jeremy Leto gets going. It's Holiday on the high side, though, with a very good start. He draws about even with Leto at the stripe. Holiday on the high side now tries to get a side draft off of Leto. Nothing really doing there, down into 1 and 2. Leto has the advantage. Here comes Carpenter following him through on the inside. It's Holiday and Turpin on the high side now, trying to get that high lane rolling. As Luke Turpin runs right up on the bumper of Holiday. Now Turpin pulls down to the inside. So Holiday all by himself on the outside lane. And one thing that I think, oh, here we go. The 85 of Leto is going to cut off Noah Carpenter. Carpenter gets loose. Everyone saves it. That probably could have just ended the entire field's race. But somehow Jeremy Leto saved that race car.
Yeah, he got way loose and up the track and through 3 and 4 there, and came shooting back down as he was trying to recover it. He wanted to keep that low line. He manages to, but that was a very close call for everybody right behind him.
Yes, it was, and now Carpenter's not going to try to jump to the inside of Leto. He's like, you know what, you can just keep that one. One thing that I do want to make note of here, though, is that one thing that we got to look at, Doug, if we get a caution in 10 laps, there would be 85 laps to go. That's the fuel window. So these guys are about 10 laps away from being able to be good to make it to the end. Some of those guys who pitted under the last caution, if this race sees 2 or 3 cautions left in it, they might be able to make it to the end.
Doing some quick math in my head, they could actually, some of these guys, especially the guys at the back of the field, or the back of the lead lap for sure, they're going to try and stay out. They could stretch it. If they're very careful, they could stretch it to the end with a single caution if they pace very, very carefully. So, yeah, there's a lot of different strategies that's going to play out here at the end of the race. And the teammate thing will come into play as well. If one teammate can go the distance, the other one can't, they'll try and lead their teammate around to give them a little advantage. So, several different things as the front 3 are starting to break away just a little bit. And the 03 is going to the high side.
Yeah, Holiday looking for somewhere to go, but just really nowhere to go at this point, especially with only 3 cars. It'd be awfully hard for him to make it stick on that high side of the speedway. Holiday, though, now is running right behind the 424 of Noah Carpenter, trying to get a little bit of a run. Carpenter peaks to the high side of Leto again, still nothing up there. Leto getting a quick away some laps as the leader in that 85 car. 17 cars running on the lead lap. The 96 just had to pull off of Charlie Beals. He was on the lead lap. Remember, he was that car out there with no hood. Apparently, that was cut up to him a little bit as that car is now on pit lane, and they're serving it. And actually, Charlie Beals just climbed out of the car. They took it behind the wall. Beals is done for the evening as a tough night for K2 Motorsports continues with Paul Coleman already out of the race and Johnny B running 29th, 3 laps down. Up front, though, single file as things continue to sort themselves out.
Richard Holiday on that last turn 3 and 4 exit, you could tell he was pushing. He got really seemed to the Jeremy Leto struggles through 1 and 2 a little bit. But as I was saying, the 03 of Holiday, as he came out of 3 and 4, he got way loose, gathered it back up, and it managed to reclaim the distance he'd lost very quickly. But it looks like Jeremy Leto is really struggling. We've seen him have a couple of problems since his last restart. We saw him have problems in 3 and 4, which kind of surprising. We expect to see more of that down in 1 and 2, but he's had problems at both ends of the track so far, and I don't think it's going to be long that Noah Carpenter is going to want to sit beside him, but Noah also knows he can't move to the outside. Too high a risk with Jeremy having problems in the corners.
So now they race down towards corners 3 and 4. Leto in that top spot. Noah Carpenter following closely behind. The 03 car of Richard Holiday getting a good draft. He's trying to catch right back up to those guys. The thing is, they're single file right now, but they're single file and honestly like fairly spread out. Really not that close to one another for being as single file as they are. So the closest thing we got to a side-by-side battle, I was about to say there's one going on towards the back of this lead pack, but that's actually not for position. That's 10th place Matthew Bear side-by-side with 26th place William Karp right now. There's a little bit of a high lane is starting to form. Looks like some BBM cars are going up there as I see the 08, the 01, and the 52. But really, nothing for position side-by-side as the top 2 start to get some distance.
Yeah, but one car that is just quietly continuing to sneak forward is that car sitting in 5th right now, Octavio Rondoletto. He restarted back in about 10th, and here he comes. He's up to 5th now, and as I mentioned right before the green flag drop, these guys are going to have to watch out for him. He's got his teammate right behind him, and he is definitely one of the fast cars out there on track right now. He might actually have an opportunity to pull this one off here tonight.
I'll be curious to see how it goes as they end up 3 wide in the back of the pack. Matthew Bear just got shuffled out of the way on the high side of a 3 wide situation, so he's going to get moved back as some of those guys starting to make some moves towards the front of the field. And as we click away another lap, we're now on lap 163. We're to the point now where if a caution were to fly at this point, I think you'd see everyone come down pit road, get their fuel tanks filled, and everyone would probably be good at this point if they could come down pit road and get as much fuel as they could fit into the tank. But up front right now, it's Jeremy Leto, followed closely behind by Noah Carpenter. And we talk about how these restrictor plate races could possibly produce a different winner tonight. Well, Jeremy Leto and the 85 racing team, that 85 car is not finished in the top 10 all season. They had their best run of the year of 12th last week. And Noah Carpenter in the 424, this is only his 3rd start of the year, and he has not had a top 10 yet, I believe, either. So the 424 and the 85 right now, 2 guys looking for their first win, as is the 03, Richard Holiday. He runs up front every week, but he has come so close but has yet to win. He obviously is in contention too.
Yeah, he definitely is. There's a couple of cars that on that last restart, I believe the 19 was one of them. He ended up really high. Matthew Bear did coming through, and he's lost a lot of positions. But you were right about Richard Holiday. He is always up there at the front. He's always in contention. And some of these guys are really, really good at short tracks but struggle at bigger tracks and vice versa. You're definitely seeing guys like Richard Holiday that can get up there and compete. You got Jeremy Leto. And some of these guys are just finding their way really well tonight. Even the short track experts are coming to the front now. So a lot of different guys are going to be up here battling, and it's anybody's ball game, especially in that top 10, 15. They're not that far apart right now.
No, they are not, as we have a little bit of an outside lane starting to form. You have the 08 of William Karp, then behind him about 10 car lengths back is the 01 of John Schwartz and Marty Zakala in the 52. Now jumping up there is the 22 of Heather Patrick, also the 17 of Aiden McConaughey. The outside lane is starting to take form. Watch for Richard Holiday to go to the outside. That outside lane is mostly BBM and BBM affiliated cars. The O3 of Holiday must be being told, I'm sure, from somebody that help is on the way, and we'll have to see if the O3 is going to jump up there. The problem is right now, things are so spread out, it's going to be hard for that pack to get to them, just because there's not going to be a lot of side draft going on once the 08 gets clear of some of these cars.
Yeah, and meanwhile, right behind him, we've got cars moving to the front very quickly. And we've got some side-by-side battling, even though it's, I don't believe that's for position right now, but Octavio Rondoletto's got a car to his outside at the moment. And I believe it's William Karp to his outside. And he is starting to charge back, trying to reclaim a lap. So we've got several different stories playing out. If some of these guys can get back up there and they get a quick caution, they can get their lap back, be on the lead lap without having to worry about getting waved around. And that's definitely going to be, you get yourself unlapped. That is definitely a morale boost, and that's going to help somebody like that car on the outside. That's going to help him get back to the front very quickly.
Yes, it will, as that outside lane is working well right now. Karp now has his... Oh, they wreck for the lead! Leto goes around right in front of Richard Holiday. Holiday is going to save it. Leto wrecks right in front of Holiday. He takes out Holiday. Caution is going to fly as Holiday... Oh, he gets into Blake Wynn. Wynn's going to spin around now. They wreck in the aftermath. Johnny B gets destroyed. Marty Zakala's car is destroyed. Oh, my goodness. A big wreck as Jeremy Leto and Noah Carpenter wreck racing for the lead.
Yeah, that was crazy. We're going to go take another look at it, but Leto definitely, we'd mentioned it earlier, he was struggling with the handling since the restart, and he definitely, it finally caught up to him. As there was as they were making a pass for the lead, it looks like the 424 just gets into his left rear corner, pushes him up the racetrack a little bit, and then everybody is right behind him. The 03 Holiday lost a wheel. So he's going to be out for a while. Not sure who else was involved, but you mentioned it a few laps ago that they could go from there to the end of the race on the if they had a caution. And here we have it. Everybody's going to be on pit road.
Yeah, so everyone's going to come down pit road as everyone's going to be good on gas to go to the end if they pit this time. So you do see literally everyone come into the pits. We are going to probably have somewhere in the range of 18 cars on the lead lap when we get this thing back going. Out of the leaders, Holiday is definitely out of contention as that car is into the pits with heavy damage. Leto in the 85, that car is heavy damage. He is into the pits. You saw Marty Zakala get involved in the aftermath. That car is currently in pit road, or it's actually out in the racetrack right now. I think he's okay. But Johnny B in the 062, that car's in pit road with heavy damage. You're going to see him be in pit road for probably a good while. So here we go. The cars race off pit road. And it actually is Luke Turpin winning the race off of pit road. Second's going to be Octavio Rondoletto. Third's Josh Oliver. We haven't said his name in a while. Fourth is going to be Colin Hefner. And fifth will be John Schwartz, JB Smooth. First time I've said his name in a while. Sixth will be Brandon Varney. First time I've said his name in a while, too. Seventh will be Stephen Rex. Eighth will be Kenny Tripp. And ninth will be Ben Eaton, with 10th being Gregorio Dorso. So our top 10 getting shaken up a little bit here, as we are going to have what I believe to be 19 cars in the lead lap when we get things back going.
And it looks like Luke Turpin stayed out to lead a lap, pick up a few points, and that he is now Matt Bear and Logan Jones now both on pit road. Matt Bear did manage to lead a lap there, so that gives the lead back to Luke Turpin, and as you said, everybody can go from here. So looks like a few of these guys are going to have an interesting race to finish this off. And look who is currently being scored in second. That is Octavio Rondoletto. He has come from way in the back as well, silently sneaking his way up. And we've seen him do that several races recently where he just quietly picks them off one at a time. He doesn't push too hard. And here he comes up to the front. But with now 18 cars back on the lead lap, and you're going to have a bunch of new cars on the lead lap, and some of the more competitive ones are now in the pits. It really is shaking this thing up.
Yeah, now that this race, the complete complexion is certainly shaken up at this point. We're going to be going green with just under 80 laps to go. So now that everyone's good on fuel, Doug, I think you're going to see the intensity start to ramp up a little bit because at this point, you can make it to the end. So there's really, you kind of want to be in the lead because at this point, being in the lead means something.
Yeah, it's going to be a full send for everybody at this point. I don't think anybody's going to hold anything back. And you got what you got. And unless there's another caution, which there very well could be with this many cars on the lead lap and everybody knowing they could go the distance, things could change quickly here. But these guys, everybody's going to be hard on the gas all the way around the track. And it looks like the 77's up there playing with the pace car.
It would appear so. So we are. Well, hold up. I was about to say we are going green. We are not. The lights do come back on the pace car. So we got the lights on the pace car. We're gonna run another lap under caution here. That means we'll be going green flag on lap 174. There'll be 77 laps to go when we get this thing back going. And you got any picks for me, Doug? With 77 to go, you got your 77 to go pick. I'll give you mine right away. I'm gonna go with the 13 car of Josh Oliver. I like what he's done all day. We set a surprise winner today. What a bigger surprise than a guy in his first race.
That would be a surprise, but I think it's going to be that 77 car on the outside. That's Octavio Rondoletto. Like I say, he started back in 40th, and every time they've come to pit road, every caution, he's picked up 5 to 10 spots. And there's a couple of guys back there that have done something similar, but Colin Hefner and Brandon Varney and John Schwartz, they've all been charging to the front every chance they got. He's just snuck his way up there quietly, and I think he's just going to quietly sneak a win. But we were both wrong last week, so let's see if either one of us is right this week.
Yeah, we will have to find out. It's going to be Luke Turpin. By the way, both the guys in the front row have won a race this year, so they could be one of those two guys, Octavio or Turpin. They would be our first repeat winner. Then you have to go all the way back to fifth, where John Schwartz run. He is the next highest running car that has a win. He won at Phoenix. So we come down into corners 3 and 4. The field will be at the mercy of Luke Turpin with 77 laps to go. 77 laps to go. Everyone's good on fuel to make it to the end. This is where things start to get interesting. That iRacing, I almost said Ford Mustang, but it's not a Ford Mustang anymore, leads the field off the corner. Luke Turpin has the field in tow. They come down towards the start-finish line. The flagger holds the flag in hand. He lets it rip. Green flag in the air. They're down and away, and Turpin on the inside gets a decent jump there. Him and Rondoletto race side by side for the lead. Oliver now gets to the inside of Rondoletto for second and third, and that restart was a little bit more chaotic than anyone I've seen tonight. I think everyone is ready to go. I think it's go time, Doug.
Yeah, they managed to keep it in line for half a lap so far, but you could tell everybody's moving around already. They're looking as Rondoletto's getting a huge push from behind coming into turn 3. Everybody was moving around a lot, looking for any advantage they could get. There's a lot of times where in these cars you can pick up 1 or 2 spots on a restart if you get the jump on somebody and you can get the line to the outside. Yeah, you can make a move there. And as they come back around, nobody's really changed a lot of positions yet, but this gaggle of cars up here at the front, at any moment, everything could change up there.
And here we go now on the outside. Rondoletto does get a run. He has a lot of help from that 87 of Colin Hefner. Hefner has a lot of help from his teammate. That is Brandon Varney in the number 57. Those cars trying to get up there and race with Luke Turpin. The lead pack looks like it's about 10 cars. We have about, actually it's 12. Logan Jones is the last car in that pack, and he currently sits in position number 11. So it's actually the top 11 cars, you should say, are in the lead pack, as Luke Turpin leads the way for all of them. 17 cars are on the lead lap, but like I said, only the top dozen run with one another. As we have some good racing action going on. Rondoletto on the high side, using the side draft off the number 13 of Josh Oliver. He is trying to get that car in position to maybe get up there and challenge the 454 for the lead. And here he comes through the corners. Oh, behind him, the 78 gets loose. The 78's going to hang on to it, but he's having a moment back there. The 78's going to keep it going. But this time by, 74 laps to go, and the action is really picking up.
Yeah, it is. There was some action back there. About 15th place, a couple of cars were going 3 wide through the for almost a lap back there. It was getting a little bit crazy back there. Everybody's backed off back to about 2 wide at this point, but yeah, there is action everywhere on the track as the 78 is starting to make his way back up after having an incident, or a moment there, as you put it. But that outside line is shrunk. Now that inside line is the majority of the cars. You only got 3 cars to the outside, and if they can't find a way to drop in or maintain pace, they're going to go backwards rather quickly. It seems since more shade has come in on turn 1 that, for whatever reason, it seems to have slowed down the outside line on turn 1. Early in the race, when there was still a lot of sunlight out there, these guys were extremely fast, and that outside line was the fastest away around turns 1 and 2, as there's a car stopped on the inside on the back straightaway.
We'll have to see what happens. We just had another iRacing glitch that kicked out 4 drivers. Jeremy Leto, who was in the pits with a lot of damage, got kicked. John Friley, who was already pretty much out of the race with a lot of damage, got kicked. The most notable, Rafael Semperuch got kicked. He was running on the lead lap. Derek Colson just got kicked. He was already 35 laps down. Alex Gangler just got kicked, and everyone is starting to get kicked right now. And Marty Zakala just got kicked. Greg Holes just got kicked. Caution is out for an iRacing outage, and Richard Holiday just got kicked. iRacing is the iRacing glitches are in full force here, as now Bruce Hellmuth gets kicked. And we're under caution for, I believe, iRacing technical difficulties.
Yeah, and I could tell you, I started seeing some technical difficulties with it right before that last caution. The sim itself was starting to get a little glitchy. Just little things here and there. You pick up a hesitation or something along those lines, and it just started real suddenly. It cleaned up during the caution, but obviously now there's a huge problem, and hopefully everybody can get back out here when we get this sorted out and get the race finished tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to see how race control sorts this out, but with this opportunity, we're going to take another chance to take a commercial break and thank our sponsors, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Alrighty, we are back live and trying to determine what is going on here. Obviously, anytime you patch or update any system, there's going to be some issues, and obviously iRacing has had quite a few of those today, and that is why we're under caution this time, just due to iRacing technical difficulties.
So obviously iRacing technical difficulties have us under caution here, as we almost went to a red flag condition from my understanding, but I don't think we quite did go to a red flag. The only guy that got really shafted is, so the guys that got kicked, none of them were really in contention except for Rafael Semperuch. He was running on the lead lap. He got kicked. And Alex Gangler, I think, was only 1 lap down or 2 laps down at the time he got kicked, so he was still within striking distance. The other 5 or 6 guys that did get kicked, they were running pretty far behind. Marty Zakala, I think, might have been 5 laps down at the time, but outside of Marty, everyone else was really out of contention. So really, it didn't change the complexion of the race all that much. All it did was it just caused a caution.
Yeah, and it's worth noting iRacing is aware of the problem already. They've been working on it for the last 3 hours, and as somebody that worked in IT for a lot of years, I can tell you, anytime you release something that is as big as what they released today, and we got a lot of great content, there's always going to be some sort of bug in it, and no matter how much testing you do, how many people test it, you run into issues. This is just a very odd issue, and it's not just kicking people. It's giving people are struggling to get into sessions, and I've heard of at least one other league that hasn't been able to race tonight. So consider ourselves very lucky that XCal got to continue tonight. This is quite awesome to still be able to do this and to have a great set of admins that are watching over this and making sure we make everything right here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what if they're gonna correct it or not. We're gonna have to find out what's gonna happen here, as we are still under caution. While this is happening, this is giving some of the cars on pit road with a lot of damage some time to get their cars repaired. Uh, Greg Holes, Pat Sullivan, a few others, Jeremy Leto, Richard Holiday, those cars still getting worked on right now, trying to get back out there. As here's going to be our running order when we get things back going. Luke Turpin will be the leader. Second's going to be Octavio Rondoletto. Third's going to be Josh Oliver. Fourth's going to be Colin Hefner. Fifth will be John Schwartz. Sixth is going to be Stephen Rex. Seventh will be Gregorio Dorso. Eighth will be Brandon Varney. Ninth will be Aiden McConaughey. And 10th will be Kenny Tripp. As we're going to continue under caution here. The lights stay on the pace cars. We're going to wait to bring this one back under green until we're positive that we're ready to go.
It looks like several of these guys that were kicked or had to go to pit road for various issues. You got Jeremy Leto back out, Joe Campbell, and Jose Godino. Looks like they're all showing having just came off pit road. So they're getting some of these guys squared away right now, and hopefully we'll be able to get some green flag, get a green flag lap, or get a green flag finish in here. It is interesting to see this major of an issue with this, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly iRacing gets it fixed. But as I mentioned before, it's awesome to have a group of admins and race control working on this and making sure that these guys that do get kicked get an opportunity to get back where they need to be.
So caution out on the speedway for iRain, as looks like I think they do have things sorted out now, so I think we might be seeing the green in a lap or two here. Just waiting on word from race control to find out if they are comfortable. They are not, so they're going to keep us under caution here while they try to address the issue at hand. As we are under caution here for iRain, as this is kind of it's taken a weird turn here. This has been such a strange race, Doug, because none of us expected it to go green for 125 laps to start this thing off. We went green until past halfway. Then we had 3 quick cautions. Then we had that little run before Leto and Carpenter got into it racing for the lead. And then we just had this caution for iRain.
Yeah, and I find it funny we're using the term iRain simply because that is one of the things coming to iRacing in 2021. But yeah, it has been strange. I was not expecting the start to go as well as it did. I kind of expected a couple cautions in the first 30 to 40 laps and then a long green flag run. And everybody, as we mentioned early in the race, everybody knew about the new damage model, knew there might be some struggles tonight, and took it fairly easy. I mean, we had a lot of 2-wide racing, but everybody was giving everybody else a wide berth, and just a testament to how smart these guys are about their driving out here tonight. Looks like the lights are out, possibly? No, they just came back on.
Yeah, no, this is going to be an extended one, as I think race control is really just trying to make sure that this iRain passes and we don't stay with it for too long. I think what they're doing is they could be going back and checking scoring and seeing what happened. As Marty Zakawa finally gets reconnected, that might be what they were waiting on, was for the last driver kicked from the iRacing to get reconnected. Um, they still have some things to sort out though, like who they're going to put back on what lap, if they're going to put anyone back on what lap, if they're going to hand out waiver rounds as they typically would. So as we sit, there's 16 cars in the lead lap. This is a great time though to inform you to go to the buttkicker.com and use code XCal20 to get 20% off on anything you want from the buttkicker.com. You can get yourself a butt kicker game or two, which I have one of those, and it is so awesome for iRacing. It really makes your seat shake. And we have a lot of other great sponsors like K2 sauces. K2 sauce, the only sauce you'll ever need, one of the best sauces I've ever personally had. Sim Racer Coin, all of our friends over at Sim Racer Coin, of course. The XCalRacing.com web shop. And yeah, just gotta love all the great sponsors we got here at XCal Racing. As this time by, the lights go off the pace car, and I do think we are going green this time by.
Yeah, it does look like it. They had already turned the lights back on last time. They are lining up side by side, so it does look like we're going to get to go green flag racing here. And these guys have been out here pacing. There was a couple of guys that stopped with about 75 laps to go 75 laps in on that first green flag run. Well, any of those guys that were even on the least little bit of a bubble, they are good to go now. So everybody, as we mentioned before, everybody can go the distance from here. They've been out there idling. Their tires have cooled off. This might be a bit of an exciting restart again.
All right, well, here we go. Field is at the mercy of Luke Turpin as he'll be bringing the field back down to the green flag. Luke Turpin's in first, second's Octavio Rondoletto. We come through corners number 3 and 4. And the iRacing pace car, the new iRacing pace car, will pull off into the pits. Turpin had the field at his mercy, and here we go. Green flag in the air. They're down and away. Turpin on the inside gets a nice jump there, but Rondoletto on the high side, he wasn't sleeping. Rondoletto comes nice up on the high side. 77 has the nose ahead as they head down towards corners 1 and 2. Let's see if Rondoletto can hold it, and without much draft as they get up to speed, Rondoletto will succumb and the lead will go back to Turpin.
And Rondoletto did have some looked like he might have had a little bit of a slow restart. The 87 made sure that didn't impact him too badly. He was literally pushing him down the front straightaway into turn 1. He was just right on his back bumper, being very careful about it, but he was right there giving him a hand. Now he's starting to look like he might want to make this 3 wide here. We've only got about little over 60 laps to go, so this is the time that some of these guys, that if they can go, they need to go right now.
All right, the top spot, they continue to race side by side. It's Turpin on the inside, though. Turpin is going to take the lead as he has a lot of help right now from that 13 of Josh Oliver. Oliver gives a nice push to the 454 as they draw even with the outside lane. Rondoletto with a lot of help from Colin Hefner up there. Hefner in that 87 car trying to give Rondoletto the right push he needs, and Rondoletto with a good run off the corner. It's going to be awfully close to the stripe this time by. It was Luke Turpin by about 21 1/1000ths at the stripe, but it is still way too close to call at this point in the race. Remember, everyone is good on fuel. These 16 cars on the lead lap, they're the 16 cats we're going to see dueling it out for this win more likely than not, as they are all tight nose to tail, door to door right now as I believe that's the top 11 are kind of in that first little lead pack. Then you have a few stragglers. Those are also all lead pack cars all the way back to Matthew Barron 15th. So they are just getting things sorted out. This time by the flag stand, 60 laps to go.
Looking back in 11th place, you've got the 424. That's Noah Carpenter. He was up front very early in the race. And if you watch him the last few laps, he was going back and forth between the high line and the low line, depending on where he was at the track. He is just trying to find a faster way around right now. And it looks like the 87 is going to start looking like he might try and tempt fate here. He keeps looking like he's going to try and make a move up the middle. If Rondoletto slips at all, he's going to go right through the middle of that pack and go up to the lead as they come down toward the start-finish line.
Yeah, this is very tight racing right now up front. They are getting at it aggressively, and you just kind of have to wonder who's going to help whose teammate's going to go where. I'm curious to see how all these different factors of this race play out. The 454, though, of Luke Turpin on the low side of the speedway does have the lead as Josh Oliver gives him a nice little shove now. And as we get later in this race, Doug, I'm seeing more and more guys willing to give that shove.
Yeah, we saw it on the restart with the outside line getting that little bit of a shove going on the restart and all the way around. And the 87 is obviously willing to push the 77 and possibly push him out of the way if he needs to. But if you look throughout the pack, there is a lot of bumping going on at this point in the race. There's a lot of guys just trying to find any way they can to make up one or two positions here. The 424 Noah Carpenter has made his way to 10th. He restarted about 12th, and he is starting to get right up on the back bumper. He'll get right on that back bumper, lay back a little bit, and get a run down the back straightaway. That seems to be his strong suit right now, is 1-2 in the back straightaway. And he's going to continue to pick up spots as we go along. That front dozen cars, though, nose to tail, all the way around, nobody's giving an inch.
Nobody's giving an inch that time by. 2/1000ths of a second, Octavio Rondoletto led that time by at the start-finish line. On the high side, he's getting close to possibly clearing Turpin. He has a lot of good help behind him from that 87 of Hefner and the 28 of Rex. This race taking nice form here late in the going as all these guys are getting ready to do the battle for the victory in this one. 15 cars within striking distance. There are 16 cars in the lead lap, but 16th place Art Hendren, 6 seconds behind the leaders in a different pack. That time by was Turpin leading by 18/1000ths of a second at the start of finish line. Right now, Rondoletto and Turpin just exchanging blows, exchanging laps right now. And coming into the season, those two guys were probably the two favorites to win the championship. As we're 7 races into the year now, that has certainly changed. But those guys sitting 3rd and 4th in points respectively, they were the preseason favorites. They won most of the preseason races between the two of them. To see both of them only with one win at this point in the year is kind of surprising. To see them racing for the win here at the restrictor plate track, though, is no surprise, as both of these guys always show up on these big tracks.
Yeah, and they are definitely putting it on a show, and neither one of them is going to back down. I don't think that outside line is nearly as fast as it was early in the race. We saw that outside line being extremely dominant. But that inside line, as people drop down, there's less rubber laid down, less heat on that outside line. It's going to take these guys running that outside line for a while, especially in turns 1 and 2. Now that the shade's there, it definitely affects the track temperature, and they're just not as fast out there as they were early in the running. You see, as they get in the shade, they slow down a little bit, which is a little bit counterintuitive on the straightaway, but in the corner makes sense, and they're having a lot more transition in the handling as well.
Now it looks like Turpin does have a little bit of an advantage over the 77, although Rondoletto with a huge head of steam as the 87 pushes him down the back straightaway. Rondoletto gets right back up to that door of Turpin, just as it looks like for a second Turpin might have control of both lanes. Rondoletto with a huge run of steam, he draws right back up even with him. They come by the start-finish line, and once again, Luke Turpin leads, but it's not by much. Both those lanes doing a good job with each other right now. The 77 of Rondoletto, though, that 87, I just can't get over how good of a job he's doing pushing them. A car to watch out for right now, though. Watch out for that Brandon Varney, number 57. He's running an 8th right now, the 4th car on that high lane. Varney in that 57, I think he's going to have something to say about this race before it's over. On our season opener at Charlotte, he was racing for the win coming off of turn 4 on the last lap when he got involved in the big one on the last lap. Varney, he's pretty good at these plate races despite them not being his favorite type of race. Expect him to continue to make his way forward.
Yeah, and he was up there at the front earlier in the race as well, so he definitely knows how to get the job done. And I really, just looking at him, he's just riding along right now. They've still got just over 50 laps to go. And he's just playing it safe at the moment. Some of these guys, like the 87, look like they're going to take any advantage and do anything they can to get up there. He's just waiting for whatever comes next and probably get down to 20-25 to go. They're going to still be packed up, it looks like. Looks like we're going to be like this for a while, and then he might just make his move. As the 13 started to look to the outside there.
Yeah, things are going to really start to pick up and get dicey here. I know we've been saying it a lot. We're really starting to get to the point where guys are going to be making moves that make you scratch your head a little bit. It's that time of the race. Still a long way to go, 50 laps to go. This time by it will be 50 laps to go. But 50 laps to go, we realize it's a long time. These drivers, they see 50 laps to go. They're starting to think it's go time, even though that's longer than the distance of the heat races they ran on Monday night. That time by, Luke Turpin does lead again with 50 to go. He led by a little bit. I'll tell you what, the battle for most laps led in this race is going to be a pretty close one too, between about 4 or 5 different drivers. Rondoletto, though, on the high side, still getting a good charge as he gets really squirrely. I think the 87 hit him awkwardly off the corner. Rondoletto hung on to it. Rondoletto almost clears Turpin coming down into one. Rondoletto with a big run, but Rondoletto will still be in second as he couldn't quite clear the 454.
And we saw over the last couple laps, the 13s got up there and been pushing Luke Turpin just as hard as that 87's been pushing that 77. But in the 87, I think part of that is he just stepped up his push game there and started pushing even harder, even sooner on the 77. You got to wonder how much of this is just, hey, come on, let's get to the front, and how much of this is I'm getting really, really frustrated. We've seen the 87 look to the inside, look to the middle a couple times. He even looked to the outside once, like he was going to make it 3 wide. I don't think he's having to worry too much about overheating the car. I think he's just looking for any way he can to get around Rondoletto and see if he can get up there and take the win. And with 50 laps to go, yeah, he's going to try anything he can. They get a big enough opening, he gets enough of a run, he's going to go for it.
And he most certainly will. So we'll have to see what Rondoletto can. What he can muster up there on the high side of the racetrack. He has 50 laps to try to clear Luke Turpin. We'll have to see. I almost have to wonder, though, is here we go. Varney looks to take it up the middle on Steven Rex. Varney thinks better of it. He lets off. They wreck behind him. The 06 goes around the 53. They wreck in the middle of the racetrack. Caution will fly as Tyler Batchelder and Logan Jones got together. And it looks like... I saw someone lost a wheel in there somewhere. I think it might have been the 81 of Blake Wynn.
We may end up having to put money on the 81's wheel before this is all said and done.
So Tyler Batchelder gets a big piece of that. He is that car is going to be heavily damaged. That's going to be tough for him to recover from. The 81 gets a good bit of damage. Looks like the helmet Kenny Tripp. I think that car did end up getting a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some to the left front and a little bit to the right front. So he's got a bit of front end damage, but he might be okay as the 81 comes wheelless at down pit road.
And the 06 of Logan Jones actually didn't get a bad piece of that. So Jones, really the only car in that accident that doesn't look to be too tore up. Although Jones is going to come into the pit, so he might end up having some required repairs. We'll have to find out. What this caution will do is it's going to put Tyler McRae back onto the lead lap, and both Heather Patrick and Trevor Birchmere will end up 1 lap down. So we're going to have probably 17 cars in the lead lap. Matthew Bear sitting on the pits right now. He got some damage in that wreck. I don't know if it's too bad for the Bear 19. We're going to have to find out. But it looks like Bear is going to be on pit road right now, along with a couple other guys, trying to wait and see just how bad the damage is for these guys as Jones and Bear and a few others sit on pit road right now, waiting to see what's up with their cars.
Yeah, it looks like Noah Carpenter and Kenny Tripp both came to pit road as well. Not sure. I don't believe either one of them got any real damage. Kenny Tripp definitely. Kenny Tripp did get a little bit to the front, but nothing significant. So they didn't need fuel. It might be a fresh tire thing, as we talked about earlier in the race. And just doing a quick look around the track, I have not seen the wheel reappear. It may still be rolling around the track. There is no telling.
There is not. Now, it looks like Jones and Bear both got back out there on the lead lap, so neither of those cars must be too terribly damaged. Jones did just get the black flag for causing that caution, so he's going to have to come serve that. Tough break there for the Jones 06. But it looks like we're going to have 17 cars on the lead lap when we get this thing back going. It's going to be just around 40-ish laps to go when we get it going, as wave rounds are now taking place. So Tyler McRae is going to get back onto the lead lap. And looking at the top 5 in points right now, the top 5 in points are Jordan Babinger, John Schwartz, Luke Turpin, Octavio Rondoletto, and Tyler McRae. All those cars are still on the lead lap, except points leader Jordan Babinger. Babinger runs in 20th, 2 laps down. He's still within contention range, though. So you look at restrictor play races and usually expect big point shakeups there. Really hasn't been the case today. The top 5 guys in points have survived.
So far. This thing ain't over yet, but yeah, you've got these top 5 guys. They're still in the points battle, and you know it's early in the season, so the guys that are at the back, they're going to be. Babinger's going to be able to recover a little bit. Hopefully, he'll pick up a few more spots before this is all said and done, and you know there's no telling what'll happen in 2 weeks when we come back racing. But yeah, this is. There's a couple of guys back there like. John Schwartz, he's 5th in points, currently running 5th. He's going to pick up some points tonight for sure, and he's been pretty consistent all night. He hung out outside the top 10 most of the night, and right outside the top 10, and then just came back to 5th quite suddenly. And I'd imagine he's going to be one that's looking to get back up to the front.
Yeah, he currently sits 2nd in points, just I think 6 points behind Jordan Babinger. Like they're virtually deadlocked for the lead. And for Schwartz, he did not have a good week last week at Southern National. He had a worst finish of the season of 17th. The week before that, Bristol, he finished 14th. And then the week before that, he won at Phoenix. But besides the win, he's kind of had a rough couple weeks. So we're going to have to see if Schwartz can recover nicely here. Running in the top 5 right now, though. For JB Smooth, certainly a good run up to this point in the event. As we're going to run one more pace lap, then I believe we'll be going green the next time by, and we'll be going green with 42 laps to go.
And I would imagine we're going to be going green with a lot more bumping and banging now. We saw these guys leaning pretty heavily on each other last restart. And I fully expect to see a lot more heavily leaning. Interesting that the 13 and the 87 have actually just switched lanes due to where they were when the caution came out. So the 87 to the inside, the 454 is definitely going to get quite a push coming through there, and that's definitely to the detriment of that outside line because that 87 car was extremely good at pushing when he wasn't pushing too hard off of turn 2. He was able to get the 77 right up there, get his nose past the front, and got him as close as he's gotten so far tonight to the lead.
Yeah, but Josh Oliver certainly hasn't been a slouch tonight either. I don't think Rondoletto will be too sad to see the 13 in his mirror, at least from what we've seen in Josh Oliver in his debut so far. It's not a very, very excellent XCal Racing debut for the 13 Asphalt Motorsport driver Josh Oliver. As we come through corners 3 and 4, Luke Turpin has the field in hand in the XCal Racing number 454 machine. Turpin won 2 weeks ago at the Bristol Motor Speedway for his first career XCal win, his first win of the season. He's drove his way up to 4th in points. A win today would go a long way for the 454 team. Here we come off corner number 4. The green flag's in the air. We're down and away. Turpin on the inside with a good jump. The high side, though, does hang with the inside. Oliver gets into Rondoletto. I think Rondoletto missed a shift. Oliver now is going to get a bump from Rex, and the outside lane is all sorts of separated. I think Rondoletto missed a shift.
Yeah, that's exactly what he either missed a shift or spun the tires, and it's a bit difficult to spin the tires in these cars. So he was either slow or missed one, and that definitely stacked up that outside line just a bit. He manages to stay right up front by the 454, and that allows these guys to catch back up to him. And we'll see what happens from here because did I just see the 01 pick up a couple of positions there? I did. The 01 is now up to about 4th place, third or 4th.
Yeah, Schwartz makes the move to the outside. When that hole opened up, he decided it was time to go to the outside. He wanted to try something different. So this is actually pretty cool. That is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in points right now, racing for the win in this race. as Colin Hefner is also racing up there. Schwartz gives a big push to the 77 down the backstretch. And I know we're only 8 races into a 30-race season, but Doug, 8 races in, it is time to start looking where you're at in points and evaluating the situation. And I know we're the restrictor plate races, I know these things are a crapshoot, but the fact that these guys are second, third, and fourth in points, and the points leader's running in 20th right now, that has to be something that is at least crossing the minds of the 0177 and 454.
Oh yeah, there is absolutely no way they aren't thinking about points at this stage in the race. Obviously, those guys are going for the win as hard as they can, but they're also thinking about, hey, if I finish second, if I finish third, it's still a great points night. That 01 car definitely is going to have an amazing points night. He probably will claim the points lead after tonight, so he is going to definitely try and play it a little bit on the safer side. If it starts getting a bit crazy up here, he knows he's got quite a few points in there. I guarantee you some of these guys have been thinking about that for several races, especially after last week and what we saw in that race, all the insanity. Some of these guys are probably just like, okay, I need a breath of fresh air in this race tonight. As the 13 started to look to the middle again.
It's starting to get crazy up here, Doug. They're beating, they're banging, they're getting sideways. We're going to see another wreck in not too long if these guys aren't careful. This racing is starting to get really intense here from the Texas Motor Speedway. Buckle up. This is the final under 40 laps to go, and these guys know it's go time. Everyone's good on gas. This is just racing for the win. High side, Rondoletto, he has help from the 01 of Schwartz and the 13 of Oliver. They get a good run down the backstretch. Rondoletto with a nice run into 3, not quite enough to clear the 454 as Turpin gets a lot of help from Hefner. We have a dozen cars racing for the win right now, a dozen cars in this lead pack, and it's still on the high side, that 77 of Octavio Rondoletto, though, being the first car to challenge Luke Turpin for the lead. That time by, Turpin leads another lap. But things getting a lot more dicey right now, Doug. And it's just, you can tell these guys, their timer's out. They're ready to make that aggressive move. There's remorse just got left a few laps ago.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the last few laps, even though Rondoletto as he's getting way out in front there, even though he's been fast enough to hang with the 454 there on the outside, that last couple of laps coming off the corner, Schwartz has had one heck of a run. He lays back just a little bit mid-corner, but then he comes on very strong off the corner and gets one heck of a run. That 77 makes the slightest mistake, and it might be Schwartz to the front. Right now, he seems to be the fastest car on that outside line. He might be the fastest one out there if he gets some clean air.
He gives a big shove down the backstretch of that 77 machine. He almost has Rondoletto clear of Turpin. Not quite. They're going to hang on to the cars as they go through the corner. That outside lane, though, as the inside lane gets all shuffled up, now the 13 of Oliver is going to slide down to the inside. The little bit of separation there, though, as everyone gets a little bobbled up. It is the 77 now, though, still racing for the lead with the 454 of Turpin. John Schwartz running right in his tire tracks. Let's see if Schwartz can push him up to the lead. Schwartz running right behind that 77. They get that good run off the corner. Here comes Schwartz now. He gets right up in the tire tracks of Rondoletto. He pushes them ahead a little bit of Turpin. They're not going to clear him going into the corner. That high line, though, has something going on. As we run 2x2x2 in this lead pack of a dozen cars, it's just continuing to get more and more dicey as these guys are sliding all over the place. The tires are starting to go. It's crunch time.
It definitely is crunch time, and these guys, I can tell you, it looks to me like it's a very real possibility that the 01 is just trying to get the 77 up to the front, to the inside, because I do believe that 01 car can beat him on the outside quite easily. And if he can't get him out in front of the 454 before too much longer, I would imagine that he's going to make a move to the inside, make it 3 wide, do what he has to do. He definitely has the fastest car on the outside line right now, and he just needs an opening and a little bit of clean air, and every time they go down the straightaway, there is that gap between them. He might try and take that gap here in a few minutes.
They continue to race up here as they're going to go by some lap traffic, some cars on the low side of the speedway. Oh, here we go, 3-wide situation. The 424 made it 3 wide with the 17 of Aiden McConaughey. Carpenter will survive. That was a little bit of a hairy moment there as everyone kept it going. As Luke Turpin, though, still showing the way around in the 454 car. He has a lot of help from the 87 of Colin Hefner. The Hefner being contested from behind by the number 13 of Josh Oliver. Oliver's looking to maybe make a move on that number 87. I've seen Oliver looking all around the racetrack, seeing if there's some place for him to go, as more cars are getting out of the pits right now, joining back out there. And here we go, big run down the backstretch for Rondoletto and Schwartz once again. Their run, though, they just can't quite get enough heading into 3 and 4. Turpin will be able to hang on to the lead. The 77, though, on the outside, continuing to challenge.
The 77 did lead the last lap, so good. You know, he gets bonus points for leading at least one lap. He's not going to lead the most, but as we said, points racing is going to be coming up before too much longer, and at one point could be the difference between a position or the championship when this is all said and done. You're 7 races in and the points are this close. They may not change, especially with, you know, as good as everybody is on track in that top 10 in points. Though 1 point could make the difference come the end of the season. And it looks like the 01 is laying back a little bit now in 3 and 4, seeing how much of a run he can get. He did lay back, so I think he might be setting up his pass here before too much longer.
We'll have to see. He is definitely thinking about some things. This time by 30 laps to go. 30 more laps to go from the Texas Motor Speedway. As here we go, making up the middle 3 wide, Steven Rex. He goes underneath Schwartz. Schwartz has to get out of the way. Schwartz is forced to make it 3 wide on the high side, and Schwartz is just going to try to drive the car up there, but with no help. That's a tough situation for John Schwartz as he kind of gets shuffled out of the way. He is going to try to maybe find a hole behind that 2 car, although Noah Carpenter is going to jump up to the high side. Schwartz continuing to run up top 3 wide. He is going to try to make it stick up there. Schwartz is making a third line kind of exist. He is still on the high side of Steven Rex. And I'll tell you what, the 01 car, he's not just laying down and dying in that third lane. I mean, it's not going the way he'd probably like it to, but Schwartz, he's able to race up there, and he races all the way back up around the 28 car. Schwartz in the high side, he is kind of making a third groove, Doug.
Yeah, he is. And he's keeping those 2 guys to his inside pinched down just a little bit. They've got their spotters yelling, "You're 3 wide, you're 3 wide." You got cars, Steven Rex can't get up as high as he wants to on the front straightaway. We've seen the 01 is faster off the corner as they go into 1 and 2. He gets a bit of a run into the turn. We'll see how he does coming off the turn, because I think as the 28 drifts a little bit low, he cannot carry any momentum. The 01 is making a run down the back straightaway. I do believe he's going to get even with the 77. And when he's about to have some help, we're going to have 3 wide racing at Texas.
This is awesome. These boys figured it out. Schwartz on the high side. He said, you know what? I don't need the middle lane. I'll take the third lane. Schwartz leading that high line. Still Luke Turpin leading laps. Rondoletto's the car on the high side. Here comes Schwartz. Schwartz gets to the quarter panel of Rondoletto. Let's see if the 01 car can challenge the top row. They come off the corner. Let's see if the 01 has any sort of a run to challenge that top row. He is just not quite there, but he does get a good run down the backstretch. They are 3 abreast right now. They really are 3 wide around the Texas Speedway. 3 rows of cars racing for this thing. They are so tight right now. There is just no room for error as they come off the corner. Schwartz gets a heck of a run off that corner. He is going to get to the outside of Rondoletto. A lot of help from Noah Carpenter. They are 3 wide. It's about a dead heat for the top spot here at Texas. And oh my goodness, Doug, this is getting tighter and tighter as the laps go on. Schwartz continues to run that third line. He's out there racing for the lead. They're 3 wide for the top spot.
And the 17 has now jumped up into that third lane as they pass some cars coming off pit road. They are 3 wide even at the front going into turn 3. And that 01 Schwartz, he is extremely fast. We've talked about it. He is extremely fast off the corners, especially off 2. Now he's going to have some help up there, and they're going to manage to keep the other 2 lanes. Oh, the 01 tapped the wall, it looked like.
He saved it, though. They all save it, and they all hang on to it. Schwartz has a hole to come down if he's sick of being 3 wide. Schwartz decides, though, he's going to keep it in the high line 3 wide. You knew something had to give there. They weren't going to be able to keep doing that forever. Schwartz, though, he's going to stick with the 3rd line. And you know what he showed us now, though, Doug? He showed us the 3rd line's there, and you know dang well he's not going to be the last one to try to use it with 25 laps to go.
No, he's not. We saw the 424 up there giving him a hand on the high side, and a couple other cars hopped up there and took a look at it as well. They couldn't hang quite as well. The 01 drops back down into that, we'll call the middle line now. He's back down there for the moment, but I guarantee you he gets another run, gets some more good momentum, and he has anybody to work with, he's going to go back up there again.
And for a moment, that was pretty awesome. You knew it wasn't going to last forever, though, and it did eventually come to an end. So here we go. The 424 makes it up the middle. He's going to shuffle the 2 car out of the way. These guys are getting dicey. The 2 car now is going to shuffle in from John Schwartz, and it looks like Kenny Tripp and the 53 of Tyler Batchelder, they're just kind of laying off this lead pack. They're saying, you know what, I'll let you guys wreck. They just haven't wrecked yet, as Octavio Rondoletto leads that time by. He had the advantage over Turpin on the high side. 3 wide is becoming more and more common, though, as we continue to click away the laps. And I think when we get to about 10 to go, you're just going to see 3 by 3 by 3 at this point.
Yeah, there's no way they're not going to try it. It is just getting crowd. We're going. They look like they are going to go 3 wide.
That's too much. That was too much to ask there. And everyone's going to save it. Caution won't fly. Everyone is going to save it. What a save there by Josh Oliver. And what this has done is it's now a 5-car battle for the lead. It is now Rondoletto, Turpin, Hefner, Rex, and Gregorio. Those are the 5 cars that survived that.
And you've got 2 teammates, the 77 and the 78. The only 2 teammates I do believe up there. So this could get very, very interesting very, very quickly. If the 78 can get anywhere close to 77, they'll be working together, and if they can shuffle somebody back, who knows?
Yeah, who knows is right there, Doug, as we're going to have to see how this one unfolds, although Brandon Varney, he is not too far back, as isn't that second little pack. If they could get in line and get something going, they might have an outsider shot at catching that top 5. It's not going to be easy, but they might be within striking range. This pack might be able to get things back going, as it's going to be difficult, but if everyone can sort things out, their chance isn't over yet. Top 5, though, still racing. It is Luke Turpin on the inside. The high side's Octavio Rondoletto. Gregorio kind of just deciding where he wants to go right now. Brandon Varney absolutely has these leaders draft, and Brandon Varney, I think, is going to catch up to him. He will. Brandon Varney's caught him, and Brandon Varney has Noah Carpenter in his draft, and Aiden McConaughey's in that draft. I think that the top 11 are about to all get caught back up because they all inherently have the draft from one another.
Yeah, I think you're right, and just something I found very comical about all this, and maybe there's some broadcasts I do for SR8 series, and those SR8s, they'll run 3 wide all the way around a track like this, but they're tiny. These cars are not exactly small, and they were running 3 wide, and at one point I honestly thought the 424 was going to look to the high side going through turns 1 and 2 and try and make it 4 wide. These guys, now we've got 6 in the lead pack, and the rest of the pack is going to catch back up to them before long. They are all single file back there, and that outside line, I don't know if they're going to have several cars to that outside to make it 3 wide again, but with this other group coming, that might be their only opportunity, as Steven Rex is now starting to look outside.
Steven Rex is starting to get interesting with it. These guys, they know the laps are starting to tick away. It's time to figure out these moves, as Rondoletto and Turpin have raced side by side for the lead for probably about the last 50 laps or so. It's getting close to the time to decide who is going to take home the checkered flag tonight, and as of right now, we have 6 guys racing for it, and then 7th through 11th, they're all under a blanket. They're in a line. They are pretty close to having the lead draft if they do not. And now as Varney falls off a little bit, those guys definitely should have the lead draft. And I think we're going to be all caught back up. And I'll tell you what, Doug, the fact that we're going to recover from that spin in the middle of the lead pack to have all but one of the cars out still racing for the win, I can't believe they were able to recover like that.
I couldn't either. When I saw the 13 going around, I thought this thing was, I thought half the pack was gone. So that was a great recovery by the 13 and great avoidance by everybody around them. This is getting a little bit crazy. Like you said, these two have been side by side, for over 50 laps now. Since before lap 200, we had a series of cautions that put them side by side. They have not let up one bit, and it's now coming down that outside line, seems to be having the advantage. Here's another interesting little tidbit. On the last about 15 laps, 2/3 of the laps have been led by Octavio Rondoletto. So if he has somebody good pushing him, if he has a good push, if Steven Rex can get there and help push him the way that Schwartz was, he could end up winning this thing by a nose. I think this finish is going to come down to not tenths of a second, but hundredths or maybe thousandths of a second.
As the lead pack now is once again 2x2x2, top 11 all under a blanket. Still 16 cars in the lead back, but only 11 are a factor. And Rafael Semperuch, he's in that lead pack too. He's the last car in the pack. I think he's letting off. He helped Schwartz catch back up, and now out of respect for the leaders, he's just going to ride behind. So they are all back racing together right now, and it is on once again. That time by Octavio Rondoletto leads with 15 laps to go. Rondoletto by 16 one-thousandths of a second over Luke Turpin. And I think with how good Rondoletto and Luke Turpin are. Those are two of the best in this league. Those guys are incredible drivers. As here goes Varney to the outside to make it 3 wide. I was just about to say, Doug, I think the only way you're going to get around Octavio Rondoletto and Luke Turpin, the only way you're going to separate them is to make it 3 wide.
Yeah, and Varney looked to the high side. He doesn't seem to be able to carry the speed quite as well as the 01 was doing earlier, but he is definitely not giving up. He keeps looking up to that high side. We'll see if he can do it or not. And am I mistaken, or are we missing a car now?
We are. A car has completely disappeared. And it's Steven Rex. Steven Rex in the 28 from 4th is completely gone. He has had some sort of a connection issue due to the iRacing glitch. Steven Rex running top 5. His race now ruined. 10 cars now race for the win in this thing, as that moves Brandon Varney up to the first car in the outside lane.
Yeah, and this is about to get even. You saw Varney try and go to the high side. He can't get there with the momentum quite yet, but if he gets those 3 cars behind him to go with him to the high side, he can easily get around that 77, drop back down, and be right beside Luke Turpin. And there's just so many different things that can happen. With 13 laps left to go, you got cars looking like they are making it 3 wide at the back of this pack as well, as the 12 car is way up there by the wall. Some of these guys are just looking for any advantage they can get, and I would not be surprised at this point. The 87 has been stuck behind these 2 cars for about 60 laps now, I believe. He's going to be trying something, and it wouldn't surprise me if he used the chrome horn here at the end. I would be extremely frustrated stuck behind those 2 cars for that long.
Carpenter makes it 3 wide again. He goes up the middle. He forces the gap. Here comes Carpenter again. He gets right up to the bumper of Brandon Varney. You know he's trying to make it 3 wide. That 424, he just doesn't care. He'll make it 3 wide on you, and he'll do it again. That 424, he's been making those moves, and he's still out there. He is still out there right now. As this time by, they click away another lap. He's the 3rd car on the outside lane. And if it comes down to who's the most aggressive, the 424 will probably win, Doug.
Yeah, and I find it funny, Varney coming through the front stretch, he ducked way low. He was right beside the 87.
Sorry, the 424 got the 57. Varney all sorts of loose there in turn 2. Varney somehow saved it. That was almost a big moment there. But here they come through turns 3 and 4. Turpin on the low side, high side Rondoletto gets a bump from Varney. They're getting tight. There's 10 laps left to go. 10 guys left to race for the win at Texas.
And the 424, he keeps looking to the inside. Varney's wise to it at this point. He is actually ducking as low as he can on the straightaways. He's going to force the 424 to go to the outside, or as aggressive as that car's being, he might actually force him to use the chrome horn. And it'll definitely be the 17 starting to look to the outside. It would not surprise me at this point. You've got a couple cars that are looking like they can run that outside line. You got a couple guys that want to go up the middle. It would not surprise me. The finish of this is 4 wide, or maybe 4 wide and upside down. But it is definitely going to be interesting with 9 laps to go.
There's no way these guys make it around 9 more laps. It's just too aggressive right now. This is crazy. Up front, Rondoletto continues the challenge on the high side of Luke Turpin. Oh, there we go. They get loose. They're wrecking. The 78 and the 57 wreck down the backstretch. That'll likely be a caution. That is a caution with 9 laps to go. And that changes everything.
Yeah, once again, it looks like we've got a couple cars out of this race, or at least not in contention. The 57 is out, and that still leaves Luke Turpin and Octavio right there at the front together. No change for the lead, and you know none of these guys are coming to pit road, so I really don't have anything to say. They're going to have just a few laps left, and it's going to come down to, like we said a few laps ago, it's going to come down to that last minute, who has their nose out in front.
So the 78 and the 57 taken out of contention with 9 laps to go. And it's going to be Luke Turpin in the lead. Second will be Octavio Rondoletto. Third is going to be Colin Hefner. Fourth is going to be Ben Eaton. Fifth for the time being is Noah Carpenter, but that could change. There's a chance he gets penalized for that caution. We'll have to see. So sixth unofficially is going to be Aiden McConaughey. Seventh will be Kenny Tripp. Eighth will be John Schwartz. Ninth will be Logan Jones. 10th will be Josh Oliver. 11th is going to be Art Hendren. 12th will be Matthew Bear. And 13th will be Tyler McRae. And those are all the cars that are going to be in contention for this thing. There's going to be 13 guys racing for the win with under 5 laps to go in this thing. It's going to come down to a late race, likely about a 3-lap shootout.
Yeah, and after 5 laps, there's no more cautions. So no matter what happens, once this thing restarts, it's going green to the end.
I hope we at least get 3 laps in, because anything less than 3, like 2, that's going to be tough for these guys to get around Turpin in that amount of time. 3 laps, things can start to get really exciting. This race, the finish is probably going to be about as epic as the rest of this thing. That's all I have to say. But first, we got to wait for race control to make a decision on that last caution, as a late race caution changes the complexion of things here. As I think we had about a 40 or 50 lap green flag run before we had that last caution come out.
Yeah, and that was a pretty decent run. We've seen in these long runs, a lot of these cars started to fade, especially in that first long run. But these top 2 guys, they won't give an inch. And I do believe if it comes down to who gets the nose out in front, if the 77 gets any kind of push at all, he's going to pull it off. He's going to have, I do believe, the 2 car of Ben Eaton behind him on the restart. So he'll definitely get a bit of a push, but we've also seen the 87 be very aggressive with his pushing. He pushed the 77 through the corner a couple of times when they were up on the high side, caused the 77 to get loose once or twice. So we'll see if he pushes just as hard on Luke Turpin as well. It's definitely just a lot going on here at the end. And you've got John Schwartz. He's back up in 7th now. He was running up there, and he was getting kind of aggressive on the way outside. He was the first one to make it 3 wide. So there's, with him being back there, he'll be in about the 4th row. Yeah, that could change things up even more.
And Noah Carpenter has been disqualified. They deemed he caused that yellow. Carpenter's evening is done with just about 5 laps to go. He's running 5th, so a tough break there for the 424, but he didn't get his minimum practice in, and he caused a caution, so those are the rules. And that'll move everyone else up 1 spot here, as we are going to have 12 cars left to duel it out for the win in this thing.
Yeah, and hopefully we can make it to the end with no more glitches. Luke Turpin's blinked a couple of times and had me a little worried. A couple other cars in the field have blinked as well. So hopefully we can make it to the end with no more glitches and no more iRain. And hopefully we can get a green flag fast finish here. As they line up, it looks like the lights are out on the pace car.
Yep, we will be going green this time by. So we will have 4 laps to go when we take the green flag. Per XCal rules, there are no caution within 5 laps to go, so when we go green, that'll be the last flag until the checkered flag. We will be going green to the finish. Whatever happens, happens. There still can be penalties, so you can't just intentionally wreck someone. If there's an intentional wreck of some sorts or someone takes out someone else for a position, they'll be penalized, and that'll all be sorted out. It's not just a free-for-all, but no cautions within 5 laps to go.
And
So,
interesting, just a quick note on the 77. We've seen him be in position to steal a win away. He won't do it. He races extremely clean. I would expect nothing less from him on this restart. Everybody else, we've seen quite a few aggressive drivers back there. It's definitely going to be interesting.
Here we go. Pace car pulls off for the last time. Field in the hands of Luke Turpin. They come down. Green flag in the air. We're down and away. And Turpin on the inside. He does get the good jump there. And the 77 of Octavio Rondoletto, he didn't really get going probably as well as he would have liked to. So now Turpin's on the inside, Rondoletto's on the high side. The rows are sorting themselves out. Everyone's just trying to find a place to race. Look for Hefner. If Hefner can manage to clear Rondoletto off the corner, don't be surprised if Hefner tries to get to the outside. Hefner does try to get to the outside, but Rondoletto shuts the door. Rondoletto fights now back to the outside. He gets to the outside of Turpin. They go side by side for the lead. Lots of help from Ben Eaton for Octavio Rondoletto. Where will the 01 of Schwartz go? Will Schwartz continue to stick with the inside lane? Will he go to the high side? The 87 gets high. He puts the 2 into the wall. He gets into the 77. McConaughey's going to survive. Schwartz is going to survive. A wheel is flying through the field. Luke Turpin has a huge lead with 3 laps to go. The 77 of Rondoletto Rex, he's out of it.
The 01 of John Schwartz now right there in second place with coming down. We'll have 2 laps. In third place. But with 2 laps to go, he's got that low line. He's going to pick up, it looks like third place here in just a second.
Here we go. This time by popsicle sticks will be in the air. The top 3 all have won a race this year. Luke Turpin, Aiden McConaughey, and John Schwartz. Will any of them repeat, or can Hefner break up the party? Here they come, 2 laps to go. Turpin with the lead. Here comes McConaughey to the high side. McConaughey peaked. The run just wasn't there. McConaughey does have his teammate Hefner behind him. Let's see if the teammates gang up on Turpin. Turpin with a big lead. That means there's going to be a big run. Here comes McConaughey. McConaughey jumps to the high side. McConaughey's going to have help from the 87. They come down into corner number 3. It's Aiden McConaughey in the number 17 with help from Colin Hefner. They come by on the inside now. Luke Turpin with a lot of help from John Schwartz. The flagman displays the white flag. There is 1 more lap to go from Texas. Things get squirrely. The 13 got into the 01. Everyone's going to save it. McConaughey had the nose ahead of the white flag. Turpin gets into the corner. He's going to move the 17 up the racetrack a little bit. Turpin not afraid to use the door. They come off the corner. The 17 gets the good side draft off Luke Turpin. John Schwartz runs right up the bumper of Turpin. Where will anyone go? Oliver is going to drive way underneath the line. It doesn't matter. They're side by side for the lead. Turpin on the low side. McConaughey on the high side. Who gets back to the line first? Schwartz gives him a little bit of a bump. They touch. They're going to wreck. They all save it. Everyone's going to hang on, and Luke Turpin is going to become the first 2-time winner this season. Luke Turpin hangs on at Texas. Aiden McConaughey is going to come home in second, and John Schwartz picked up third as they all wrecked across the start-finish line 3 wide for about second.
And that was definitely crazy. Coming out of 4, some of those cars were just sideways and managed to get each other straightened back out. But Luke Turpin definitely had, with all that beating and banging going on behind him, they were going 3 wide, and the 13 making that dive off into turn 3, looking for any advantage he could get as well.
Wow, a crazy finish there. But it is Luke Turpin. Finally, we have our first multi-race winner of 2021. Luke Turpin takes it home at Texas after leading a good portion of the last 60 laps of this race. And actually, our top 3 all won a race this year. Aiden McConaughey, who was a big upset winner earlier this year, he brought it home in second. A great run for him. And John Schwartz managed to pick up the 3rd place finish. He won at Phoenix earlier this year. Colin Hefner ended up 4th, and with his first top 5 of the year was Kenny Tripp in 5th.
That was quite a finish there. Looks like the 77 of Rondoletto is going again. He got beat up pretty hard on that last lap, going off into turn 1. Looked like he just got bumped trying to make a move. Got a little bit of a bump and ended up in the outside wall, and he got caught. So he ends up coming home about 11th after running in the top 2 and leading quite a few laps there at the end of the race.
All right, so I'm going to catch a word now with our 3rd place finisher of John Schwartz as I'm down here on pit road with the driver of the 01. And John, I got to ask you, coming to the white flag, you were the second car on the inside lane right behind Luke Turpin. What was kind of your game plan to try to position yourself to possibly win this thing?
Yeah, that ending was super intense. Just lots of close, hard racing. And as I got off of two, I was just hoping I'd be able to clear. I think McConaughey on the outside or whoever it was. I think I just wasn't clear, and I thought if I was, they might have been able to shove me on the outside and get past Turpin. But once I wasn't clear, I was just like, I'm gonna push Turpin as hard as I can, hope I can clear the guy on the outside, and just go for as a great overall finish. I was just like, after the first half of this race, I mean, it was incredible. We get that long green flag run, but there were some interesting strategies that people did. I think like taking like a half tank, and so a lot of the field was a lap down, me included. And so I just thought I was out of it at that point. I was like, I'm so far behind, and like in the laps down, and I was like, I was going to require so many cautions, but. Luckily, I was able to get the wave around at one of the cautions and just get back into the race and have a chance at the win. So that's all I can ask for.
And now I want to ask you too. Late in the going, before we got that last caution, you actually ended up in a situation where you got taken 3 wide. However, unlike every other situation tonight, we saw you stick up on the high side and race 3 wide for a little while. And before you ended up getting into the wall a little bit, you actually held it 3 wide for a good few laps there. So we didn't see anyone else use that for the rest of the race. But from your little experience there for about 5 laps, do you think you learned anything about that third lane and maybe something you could use in the future?
I mean, I was just really surprised how early on in the run the inside line started checking up and those guys just started sliding their tires. And so the outside line, just the second lane, started working really well. And after that long green flag run, we got like 30 or 40 laps on the tires. And I was like, well, the second lane seems to be checking up and sliding a lot. So I'm going to go to the high side. And I wasn't expecting it to work as well as it did. I mean, I think that once we started sliding our tires, I started to drift in the tri-oval, and that's what caused me to get in the wall. But overall, I mean, just the fact I was able to keep up with those guys, that was exciting, and I wish I could have made it, kept it 3 wide like that till the end of the race. But yeah, I'm just still super thrilled with how he finished. Definitely got to thank sponsors First and 15 on the car, GTR Simulators, and Phoenix 7 Esports. I got to give a shout out to Nemesis, Rodrigo, and all the other Phoenix 7 guys that are watching. But yeah, it's a super fun race overall.
All right, well, that was our third place finisher, John Schwartz. And now I think a little bit further down pit road, Doug is caught up with Aiden McConaughey, who finished second.
Hey, Aiden, congratulations on that second place finish, man.
Yeah, thank you. It was a solid run. Really strong all day. Got caught up in a few wrecks. That was unfortunate, but kind of bombed it in the last corner there. Car got really tight on me. Got my teammate underneath of me. Then 3 wide coming to the line. Wreck happened behind me. Just happy to walk away with second.
And it looked like coming across the line at coming out of turn 4, your row and the row behind you, you guys were all just about completely sideways and managed to get it straightened out. There was a lot of beating and banging on that last lap. Did you think you're going to be able to keep her straight all the way to the line?
Yeah, it was wild. Basically, I just had to keep my foot in it and just corrected when I had to and was lucky to keep it straight.
Well, you got the win in Rockingham and then the second place here tonight. So great start to the season. 7 races in, you're definitely moving your way on up the points. So congratulations for a great finish. Is there sponsors you'd like to thank?
Just K2 for overall being a great help to the series. And again, thank you to Halinar for the fantastic cars. He's always a big help. And yeah, just thanks to K2 for overall being a big help to the series.
All right, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And Petey, have you caught up to our winner?
I have. I've made my way down to Victory Lane where Luke Turpin and his 454 team are celebrating down here. And Luke, you become the first multi-winner this season in XCal, the first guy to win 2 races. Now, before the season, I don't think anyone would have been too surprised if we told them that you were going to be the first guy to win 2 races. However, the fact that it's race number 8 when that finally happened, I think would probably surprise quite a few people. However, today here at Texas, you played the strategy just right. I saw you running about 7 single file for the first half of the race. You played the fuel strategy perfect under that green flag run, and the last 60 laps you were just able to hold that inside lane. I gotta ask you though, did you feel confident on that inside lane coming to the line off of 4? Luke, you got a copy? Luke, you got a copy? I know you can hear me. I see him doing a thing. Luke, we are not reading you. So Luke Turpin is struggling with technical difficulties right now, and we are going to. We can always talk to him next week before the race, like we did with Matthew Bear when he finished third that one time. As I think Luke is trying a last ditch effort to try to get his thing to work, but I think Luke's having technical difficulties there. So it's always a shame when you can't talk to the winner, Doug. But Luke having an issue there.
Yeah, and honestly, these do happen. Especially, we've seen a lot of technical glitches tonight, and Luke Turpin managed to overcome all of every other one tonight. So for him to get this last one in tonight, at least he managed to finish the race and get the win, and in great style.
That he did. And by the way, talking about great style, Octavio Rondoletto, remember he lost that tire with 3 laps to go, with 3 or 4 laps to go, he lost that tire. He actually finished the race on 3 tires in 10th on the lead lap. So props to Rondoletto there.
I've only heard of that happening one other time, and that was a Skip Barber car at a Pro 4 track, and that was the only reason is because it was on 3 wheels on an off-road track, and it didn't make a difference. That's truly impressive to get that car around on 3 wheels, and he still had like a half a lap to go with 3 wheels, so that's truly impressive driving.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take the top 10. Well, Doug, a good race here from Texas, no doubt. This race, we saw the first half go entirely green, and then the second half had a few cautions here and there, but overall nothing too crazy. And we were treated to an incredible finish and a Luke Turpin victory.
Yeah, it was definitely a great night and a great show. Texas is the best track, the best state, so yeah, that makes sense.
All right, well, that'll wrap up things here from the broadcast booth. On behalf of myself, PDJ Zeller, the voice of XCal Racing, on behalf of Doug Burns and all the great people over at How to Suck at iRacing that make these broadcasts possible, on behalf of Butt Kicker, K2 Sauces, Try Incorporated, Sim Racer Coin, XCal Racing Web Shop, all the great sponsors of XCal Racing, on behalf of Aaron Hillbush, the president of XCal Racing, who puts these great races on, and on behalf of Bowen Smith, XCal Racing's junior admin. Take it easy, my friend. We got an off week next week. Go get yourself some mimosas down at the beach. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time from the Irwindale Speedway. Take it easy, my friend.